Hey Hodies, welcome back to my channel. My name is hautemesstom and thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today I'm going to be doing my end of the year declutter. So a couple of things. I know a lot of people watch a lot of different kind of content creators for declutters because you just like watching declutters to relax or fall asleep. So I did my best to not have the volume get too loud at any portion of the video. Sometimes I get a little bit excited, but there's not going to be like loud sounds or loud music throughout this video. So hopefully if this is the kind of declutter you're looking for, you found it. It's not ASMR by any means, but you know, I try not to do too much whenever it came to getting loud. That's one thing. Second thing, I am a content creator and I have received PR throughout this year, and I also make money doing this now. So my relationship with my makeup is going to be a lot different than a lot of you who watch. So a lot of you don't make any money loving makeup, but I do. What I wanted to do in this declutter is get rid of everything that I know that I don't think about whenever I'm testing other makeup. And that's a really hard thing for me to do. It's not a like brutal declutter. I talk my way through everything. I swatch everything in this video, except for my eyeshadow palettes. I don't swatch all of my eyeshadow palettes. I've done a lot of other eyeshadow palette content throughout this year, so that's why I didn't really focus on the eyeshadow palettes, but everything else does get swatched. So as I'm navigating this declutter, what I'm choosing to get rid of is stuff that I know that I won't come back to once I have other things to focus on. So I want my collection to be my absolute favorite and absolute best things that I will come back to even after testing other things, and that I will think of whenever I have new things to test, whether it's PR or I'm like doing a review of something that's new to me. So that's the goal with this declutter. You shouldn't watch declutters and feel like you need to declutter. You shouldn't watch declutters and feel like I have a normal amount of makeup. You are the only person who gets to decide what a normal amount of makeup is for you. You might have more makeup than me. You might have less makeup than me. This is not a judgment call on how much makeup you have. This is only me looking at me and the kind of collection that I would like to have. You don't have to aspire to this. You don't have to aspire to get rid of things. You don't have to aspire to more if I happen to have more than you do makeup wise. This is solely a project for me, but I know a lot of people like watching declutters and hearing the reasons why. So I hope you enjoy this declutter. I think Riot's gonna come say hi. Riot, hi. Can you look at the camera? Can you please have your face in frame? We just cleaned her ears today, meaning I cleaned her ears today, and she's not very thrilled with me. People want to see your face and not your butt. There you go. That's Riot. We're chilling. So here are my Alex drawers. I customized them. No, I will not be telling you how I customized them in this video. That's not for this video. What I'm doing in this video is I'm going to go drawer by drawer. So I go in the order like top down. So the top drawer is my testing drawer. This drawer right here, this is all of my liners, single shadows, things like that. This drawer is lipstick and foundation and concealer. And then here is all my cheek products. And then the bottom drawer are my eyeshadow palettes. And then I have single shadows in some magnetic palettes sitting right next to my drawers. I don't show you before the declutter happens. So kind of the order of operations that will be is the whole declutter will happen, and then I will show you what the inside of my drawers look like. Some people had asked me about what the inside of my drawers look like. I'm not like an organization queen, so I hope you're not expecting anything like that. Before I cut to the declutter footage, first of all, Happy New Year. This is my last video of 2023. I do a more thoughtful thank you for watching in my best of beauty, so go check that out, but I still mean all of that. And just as a reminder, I will not be posting the first week of January. I will be coming back the second week of January. I just did a lot of YouTube this year, so I just went a little week off. I promise you, the first video that I come back with is going to be so worth it. I promise you. Oh God. Does anyone say that anymore? Do the Kardashians? Is that a Kardashianism? If you happen to be new to my channel and you're looking for a content creator to watch regularly, well, one, I have a great back catalog of content for you, but the real focus of my channel is to help myself and help you be more discerning about the makeup that you're purchasing, loving our collections as they currently are, just because we don't need to always buy the new thing. When we buy the new thing, the makeup companies win, not always us. What I really like to do is unpack makeup marketing with my series Critical Sass and then be really thoughtful about what I'm purchasing. That by no means I'm trying to have like a minimal collection. It just means that I'm trying to make sure that before I buy something for myself, that it makes sense for me to actually buy that. It's not here already. If that kind of content sounds good to you, I would love to have you subscribe. Make sure you like this video, share it, do it, whatever you need to do. But I appreciate anyone who's watching, especially people who are new here, but also especially the people who have been watching everything. I know a lot of people love this kind of stuff. So let's get into the declutter. Okay, so this is everything in my testing drawer, the top drawer of my vanity, as I said earlier. This is where everything that I haven't made final decisions on kind of lives. So probably not a lot to get decluttered here. Hopefully by the time you see this declutter, I have a video about this that has gone up. And if I don't, then I have failed because I want to. That was part of my plan this month. The only reason that this palette is also up there, whenever I initially got this palette was hidden away with my other eyeshadow palettes, but I wanted to have it on hand as I was using this palette, the new one from Izumaya, because just for comparisons reasons. That's why this black one is in here, but the silver one is new. And hopefully by the time you see this, this is back where it belongs. And then this is also like, you know, wherever I decide that it goes. I'm going to move everything aside and then kind of quickly go through it. This is from Westman Atelier. This is the, what is this called? The Super Loaded Tinted Highlight in the shade Peau de Rose. And that's what it looks like. Zoomed you in a little bit. So here's Peau de Rose. And I bought this when I was in Vegas. I was shopping with Lauren May Beauty. She did not tell me to buy this or anything like that. I just swatched it. It's something I've had my eye on for a while. And I just felt like it could be a nice thing to remember Vegas by, but it still has to pass my testing. So far, I pretty much really like it. I like that it has sparkles in it, which has kind of been my thing with highlighters. I like a highlighter made for mature skin that has sparkles in it. I end up really enjoying that. So it's going well. I still have a lot of qualms with the compact, but you'll see more of this later. You'll see it on my face. Anything that you see in this drawer, it's just, if you haven't seen me use it too many times, don't worry about it. We will get around to it. If you are new here or if you're just watching because you watched declutters, I'm working on a video where I'm going to try to dupe one shade in one of the Pat McGrath palettes. And so everything you see here is what I've bought for that so far. So we have some J Beauty. So we have Judy Doll. I'm not going to swatch these because there will be a video specifically about these products in the future. So we have like Hourglass, Danessa Myricks. This is Juicy, Joocye. I think this is also a Japanese brand. I have two shades from Phytosurgeons, and then one of Ritual Duffy's Ashen Amber Eye Sets. It's the shade Flora, but they will get their own time in the spotlight later. This is Gris Doux from Saran, and I actually got a second one of these whenever I was in Vegas for the Creator and Friends event. And if you haven't seen these are really interesting texture. They're bouncy. They kind of feel like Jell-O. They're wet. They're cold and wet. So that's what Gris Doux looks like. Now you're going to see a couple more of these in a couple different drawers. This isn't the last one you'll see. The reason that this one stayed in my testing drawer is because I don't know that I love this shade as much as I love the other shades that I got. I really like this formula. I really do like this formula. I think I am going to keep it. I'm going to move it into the correct drawer after the declutter is done. Like I said, I really enjoy these shadows. This would be the first one I would declutter. No, Tom, don't keep it. I'm not going to keep it because I'm trying to be more realistic about what I want to use, and if I could find someone else to gift this formula to because I really like it, I think I would like to do that. And so there's no point in me keeping this, so I will be decluttering that. They're a very interesting formula because you can build it up to look more intense, but also the late wash is kind of what I think that's where that's at, like that formula's at. They last a really long time on the eyelids. They're really great. Here's another thing that I bought in Las Vegas. This is the Valentino Eye to Cheek in the shade 3. It has a name, like not just 3, but it's not on the physical product. I'm wondering if it's on the back of the pan because I I believe these are refillable. I'm not actually 100% sure, but I think they're refillable. Anyway, I wasn't really initially very interested in Valentino products because every time I've gone to Sephora's before, these must be really light sensitive because I've worked at Sephora, so the blushes just kind of stay open all the time, even when we're not there. So light is constantly hitting them, and these all look really weird in store whenever you go to swatch them. But I went to swatch it, and it's this lovely lavender pink, this purple pink, and I swatched it one of the days I was there, and then I went back to buy it later because I was thinking about it. Also, this is in limited edition packaging, and I like the white better than the red, so it kind of was the best of all worlds, and I accidentally found myself buying it, but it is really pretty, and I've really enjoyed wearing it on my cheeks. I haven't put it on the eye yet, but I really like it as a blush. And I probably will just move this into my blush drawer. But again, I'm going to keep it in my top drawer until we've talked more about this in application footage. So more to be seen with this. Maybe we'll do a full face of it, sort of like putting on my eyes and my cheeks. Okay, the Sisley Blur Powder. I'm not gonna get rid of it. It's still in my top drawer. Hopefully by the time you've seen this video, I've already done the Battle of the Blurs. You know, I'm doing some pre-filming. So the thing about declutters is they take a really long time, not only to film, but also to edit. So I film mine in little groups. So I'm filming this before the Battle of the Blur, but hopefully the Battle of the Blur has happened. This is also relatively new. This is the Glaminatrix Fairy Lights palette. I'm probably not going to do a dedicated video to this. This is their holiday release, but these are some of the sparkliest eyeshadows and like the densest eyeshadows I've ever seen. And by dense, I mean like there's a lot of pigment and a lot of sparkle. I've not tried. There are some shades from Davina that I think are very similar to this. Like the idea is very similar. I think the biggest difference is the shade Cracker has holographic pieces in it. And it's so funny because that's the one I'm least interested in. It's this one right here. Hopefully you're catching the holographic reflect. I really like these like pale metallic shades and they're so sparkly. Like look at what's left on my finger. It's not focusing, but hopefully you can see in the blur. They're so sparkly, but they're not sheer, right? Like you're gonna get the pigment as well, but they're like a light pigment too. They're really, really cool. And this one from Joycey, this is one of the ones from the purple eyeshadow. It has a very similar formula to these ones, but I think it's even like more metallic. But yeah, they're kind of all the same idea, same kind of formula. Really pretty. I'm gonna probably be keeping this, but again, I haven't really used it on camera too much as far as application goes, but I will say I've said in the past that I'm not super interested in Glaminatrix after trying their Nocturnal palette, and what I will be willing to say now is that now that I've tried these, I'm more willing to give them a chance in the future. So here's some more PR that we got in the Creator and Friends goodie bag. These are from Ravi Beauty. These are from Ali Glines' brand, and I think this is the only 3 shades of these that exist. I have Lily, Tulip, and Dahlia. I've been wearing Dahlia the most. Look at this. Can you see all the sparkle? I'm gonna have to really wash my hands instead of just wiping them off because I just have glitter everywhere. I'll swatch these on the top of my hand, but they're not gonna look great. So here's Dahlia. These are kind of like very nourishing lip products. I'm actually gonna keep that one intact. I don't think I'm going to be super interested in the shade Tulip, so I think I haven't swatched it yet even, so I'll probably just pass that one on. But I actually really, really have been liking these truly since I've gotten Dahlia. I've just worn it so much. And then I applied this one on camera. This is the shade Lily, which is like a peachy nude, also very pretty. So I am going to keep Dahlia and Lily, and then I'm going to pass on Tulip, which is more of like a poppy pink kind of situation, which is not really the lip products I'm into. And so if I could gift this to someone with it intact, that's all the better. So I'll hold on to these two. You'll see me wear these more, but I really like the formula. I think these are like $19-ish, I think. I'll correct myself on the screen if I'm incorrect. They're worth it for that if you're looking for this kind of thing. If you like the Merit lipsticks, you'll probably really like these. I think this formula is a little bit more nourishing than the Merit lipsticks, but it's the same kind of idea of sheerness and comfortability, and these are really good. The Givenchy powder. Now, I have a couple days left to decide if I'm going to exchange this for the Charlotte Tilbury powder. I like this. I can't see a world where this is my preferred powder. And I've really gotten on with the Charlotte Tilbury pressed powder, and I don't love that about myself, but it is just my reality. And I'd rather get a powder that I enjoy. And I don't dislike this. I like it. I might keep it. It is good. If I keep it, I would use it up, but it almost feels like begrudgingly. And it's like, I know I like the Charlotte Tilbury powder, and I don't really want to explore a bunch of powders unless I'm doing a brand review. So like, I don't know. I'm a little bit undecided on that, but if it wouldn't be a declutter, I would return that if I decided that I didn't want it anymore. Figma gifted us a lip mask at the Creator and Friends event, and I've used it a couple times. It's really good. I kind of keep lip masks and lip balms that I'm just actively using in this drawer so that whenever I'm doing a video, I'll just put them on for prep. So that's what it's done. I really like it. I don't know. I have no complaints. I feel like when I got back from Vegas, it has done a lot to save my lips from not only being dehydrated and in the desert, but like I also wasn't drinking very much water when I was in Vegas. I didn't do a very good job taking care of myself in Vegas. I was forgetting to eat. It was a whole thing. Anyway, it's pretty good. And then finally, I still have a lot more testing to do, but I will be doing a foundation review, an old school HMT foundation review on this Prada foundation. It finally got to me. This was one of the things that Kackie gifted me on my birthday. Originally, we got the wrong shade, meaning they sent the wrong shade, and then Kackie ordered the right shade, and then it got lost in the mail, and then Kackie tried to get her money back through her credit card, and then Prada was like, wait, you didn't get it? And so now I have it. So far, just I've been whelmed by it. And I don't know if I feel that way because of all of the things that have happened in order for me to get this. It has left a bad taste in my mouth, but I really am like, that's fine. I don't know that that is the truth, but that's why I need to spend some more time with it before I get my final thoughts on it for you. But yeah, I think it's like fine. I have only applied it with a brush, so maybe I need to apply it with a sponge or something, but I really haven't seen the magic yet. It has looked nice, but it hasn't looked my fave. So I didn't think I was going to declutter a lot in this top drawer, but I'm getting rid of the shade Tulip again from Ravi Beauty, and then also Gris Doux from Surratt Soufflé eyeshadow range, just because I think that these will get more use somewhere else. It's still my testing drawer, so I haven't really made my decision on a lot of these things, but I think that it's okay to let go of these two without having a final decision made. So this is the drawer that I keep all of my single shadows, my smaller eyeshadow palettes like quads and such. I kind of keep all of that in this drawer, as well as liners for both eyes and lips, cream shadow sticks, and then I also keep my powders in here because it's like one of the higher drawers and I use my powders in every look, and so I just kind of keep them here for easy access. And I also have some tools that I never use, but they also live here, just in case I decide one day I might want to do them. Let's start with the easier of the two containers that I have. I'm gonna zoom you a little bit further in, and I'm going to move this off screen, and I'll pull things one by one. Two things that are pretty easy to keep. These are my two eyeshadow primers. I have the NARS Smudge Proof Eyeshadow Base and the NYX Glitter Primer. I use these all of the time in every eyeshadow look. If it's more than a satin, then I'm going to pull out the NYX Glitter Primer to use for those, but then I use the NARS one for every eyeshadow look except for when I'm using a cream shadow that doesn't need a base or it messes up that base. So those are both staying because those are important. This is my only mascara right now. This is the YSL Lash Clash. This is on its last legs as my mascara because it's been 3 months almost. I'm going back to the Surratt Releve mascara because I really, really miss it. I really like the Lash Clash. It's really, really good. It has a natural fibered brush and it's pretty sleek packaging. I really, really like this. The thing about this is that it does smudge a little bit. So it's not the best summertime mascara, but it is a really, really lovely mascara. So it's worth a shot if you are willing to pay $30 for a mascara. It's a good one, but I'm going to go to a different $30 mascara and get the one from Surratt that I really, really love. The reason I love the Surratt one so much is I just remember people complimenting my lashes when I use that. And not that people never said my lashes look bad with this, but whenever you get compliments on your lashes, man, that is really that's really something. So I want to go back to that, and I miss it. I really like that formula, and it didn't smudge on me. Apparently, and I've been told this, that the Releve is a tubing mascara, but I don't remember seeing that on their website, so that's hearsay. But I'm going to hold on to this until the new year, and then I will crack open a new Releve mascara. I try really hard only to have one mascara open at a time because, you know, you can only use one at a time and they dry out. They're the product that has high turnover, and if you're not keeping track, you might hurt your eyes. I'm bad enough at keeping track of one mascara and how much I've used it and how many months it's been open. I can't imagine having more than one. Now, if I do a brand review, sometimes I do have two going, but I try really, really hard to not have that happen. Okay, I have a couple of eyeshadow sticks. I have two from Victoria Beckham and then one from Laura Mercier, and all three of them have the distinct privilege of falling out of their container. So this is Brick from Laura Mercier. I'll set the other two aside. It is a nice ruddy brown. It's really, really beautiful. And what's really great about this formula is it lasts on my lids without me having to put an eyeshadow primer down. In fact, when I put an eyeshadow primer down, it looks pretty bad and it's really hard to work with. But these are really super blendable. And then once they set, you're good to go. It's a really, really beautiful formula. I might explore more of these because I've been really loving the other two eyeshadow sticks. I was not a cream shadow person until this year, until Kackie gave me some of her overflow and also gifted these two to me. So these were some more birthday presents from Kackie. I have the shade Pecan, which is a nice neutral brown. And I also have Trench, which is, I would say like an ecru. It's like a yellowy beige. So it doesn't quite match my skin tone because my eyes are pink, but it is really pretty. Same thing can be said for these that can be said for the Laura Mercier. Really easy to blend out, but once they're set, they're set. In fact, they kind of set a lot faster than the Laura Mercier one, but I've not found myself having issues blending these out. They blend out really well with the brushes that I got from Refer. I did not really like my Wayne Goss brushes, so I would either use your finger or use something with a very, very dense brush. These, whenever I don't know what to do with my eyeshadow, have become my go-to. I just pull out these two, pick a lid shade, and then I use one of the Victoria Beckham liners to really deepen out the outer corner to do a smoky eye, and then that's it. That's what I've been doing with these. Let's get into eyeliners and lip liners. So I keep them all in the same drawer, but I don't really, this is it. This is all I have as far as that category goes. And these are going to be really annoying and want to roll around because my room is not even. So I'll pull things out one at a time. We'll start with the eyeliners and then we'll end with the lip liners or things that I use as lip liners. Interestingly enough, I have more lip liners than I have eyeliners, and that's kind of funny to me. First up, let's talk about this one from Kulfi. This is the Kulfi eyeliner in Tiger Queen. And this eyeliner formula was a formula that really got me into eyeliner. And, well, I knew that these were soft. I did know that, but I didn't know that it was going to be that soft. Back to the Kulfi liner. That was so fun. Anyway, so don't twist it up more than you need. And I should know better. It's been a while since I've used this eyeliner in particular, and also this happened to me. These are a little bit fine. They're not as fine as like the fine liners from Marc Jacobs, if you remember those, but they are smaller than like other eyeliners. I really love this shade. It's so pretty. And these are the kind of eyeliners, as you can see, once they're on, they stick around all day. Work really well in the waterline. Really, really beautiful formula. So I have some issues with the component. The formula, it's easily breakable, so you don't want to twist up more than you need. I think that this shade is so pretty and unique. I'm going to keep it. I also probably won't get rid of too many things in this particular section because I don't have that many. But this is the Surratt Smoky Eye Baton, and this is Fume Brune, which is like a dark espresso brown. So one side you have a liner, and then on the other side, which you just twist off, there is an eyeshadow that comes out with this applicator. Here's the deal. I really like this product. I think this product is a lot of fun to play with. I really enjoy it. Every time I play with it, I've giggled and squealed because I think it's so fun. For me, and I seem to be the only one who has this problem, this does not last on my eyes whatsoever. And all of Surratt's eye products seem to have an aversion to my eyes. So the eyeshadows don't last very long. And neither did this eyeliner. It would wear off. And I don't know what it is because it's so pretty and it's so fun to play with. I like to use this to do like a smudged out wing. And after my Surratt review, and I was very honest about that in my Surratt review, but like it's so much fun to use. But the thing is, because it doesn't last on my lids very long, I don't think it's worth it for me to keep. I really think it's a cool product. I really, really do. I know that About Face has either already released or is releasing a product very similar to this. So I would like to try that to see if that has any better longevity. The only thing I will note is that this didn't really last really well in my waterline. And it actually fell out of my waterline and then landed on my under eyes in a very unflattering way. So that's also something to know. I wouldn't use this as a waterline liner. I think it's a really cool product. A lot of my friends have gotten a lot more use out of it. My friend Simbri on Instagram, Simbri Thinks, she wears these all the time as her like only eye product, and it looks so good on her. It's such an effortless, smudgy, cool look. But I think I need to declutter this because I just don't reach for it. Okay, and then I have 2 eyeliners. That's a lie. I have 3. I always think that I have 2. I have 3 liners from Victoria Beckham. I have Sequin Green, Cocoa, and Ash. Sequin Green gets the least amount of use out of all 3 of these in my collection. The sparkle gets lost in my other sparkle, and I very rarely just wear an eyeliner, but I have put it all over my lid as an eyeshadow before, and it also, even though it has the glitter in it, a lot of people say you shouldn't put that in your waterline. It holds up in the waterline pretty well. So I really like it, and I don't have a ton of eyeliners, so I don't mind keeping Sequin Green. It's just different from all my other eyeliners, which I think is nice to have as an option sometimes. I don't like to do that with every category, but an eyeliner takes up such little space. And then we have Ash and Cocoa. As you can see, I actually I've been using Ash a lot more. I've been doing a lot more cool tone looks lately, but you can see that the Cocoa shade actually shows up brown and not black, and the Ash shade is actually a dark gray and not black. What I will say is I've been missing not having a black, because a couple times I wanted to go really dramatic with my wing, and while Ash is really great, it can't really do the most dramatic thing. And sometimes I really want that drama, so I might be going to purchase the black one of this because I just feel like I've been missing out on that. And I will buy it from Victoria Beckham because this is my favorite formula of liner. And I could try a new eyeliner, like I could try like Lisa Eldridge, which I've heard good things about. I've heard a lot of good things about other brands. Where I'm at, because I don't really use liner a lot, is like I probably will only explore new eyeliners whenever I'm doing a brand review where I'm like buying everything that brand has to offer and reviewing it all. I probably will find some other eyeliners I like whenever I'm on that journey, but as it stands right now, these are my favorite liners, and I just think that if I need a different color, I'm gonna just buy it from Victoria Beckham. I wish they made smaller liners because I take a long time to go through liner. Cocoa I've even had longer than Ash, so you can see how much more I've used Ash than I've used Cocoa. But I really like having both on hand. Cocoa's really beautiful for warm looks. It's like a pretty neutral brown. It's not like a red brown, but I think it looks better with warmer looks. But I've done it with cool tone looks. I've used Cocoa before and it works out pretty well. Okay, then I have my lip liners. We'll start with my favorite. This is Endless Cacao from Makeup Forever. And it's a very nice cool toned brown. On my lips, it looks really gray. On my lips, it looks more like the cap than it does on my arm. It looks very faded on my arm, but on my lips, it's really, really nice cool tone gray. This is one of those products that you could use either on your eyes or your lips, but I like it as a lip liner, and there's no way I'm getting rid of this. It's like a really beautiful formula. I have this lip cheat from Charlotte Tilbury, and it's in the shade Hollywood Honey. I don't know why it's called that, because it's not yellow. You would think that, like, I thought Hollywood Honey would be like a yellow brown. I bought it online. It looked like a yellow brown online, and it's actually a red, like a brown red. It's really pretty. It looks really nice with a lot of the lip colors I have, and I actually really, really like the lip cheat formula. It's one of the few things from Charlotte Tilbury that I really, really love. But I don't use lip liner in every look, so it's like I don't need to go buy other lip liners from Charlotte Tilbury, but I like it. So I'll keep it. And then this is from Victoria Beckham. It's the pencil in 5. Do I have 5 or do I have 6? I have 5. And this is a nice mid-tone brown. I wear a lot of brown lipstick. It works. Not my favorite lip liner formula, but it gets the job done. And since I don't have a lot of lip liners, it gets used whenever I do want a brown lip liner. I just grab that one. So that works out for me. And then I have this very ultra specific lip liner from Patrick Ta, which is the shade She's Hard to Get, I think. Yeah, She's Hard to Get. I also have the She's Hard to Get lipstick to go with this. and I do wear them together every time I do it. I don't wear it a lot, but kind of in both cases. It's not a product that takes up a lot of space. And whenever I do want to do a drama lip, it's nice to have the lip liner to line the lips of a very bold color. So that works for me. They're all swatched. Not too much to get rid of in the eyeliner category or lip liner category, because I do kind of cycle through all of them. Before we move on to shadows, I have a couple more things. So I have 2 contouring products. I have the Victoria Beckham Contour Stylus in Travertine, which is the fairest shade. It is more of a bronzer, but it's a really, really beautiful product. A lot of people have issues with how expensive this is. I've said it before, I'll say it again, I'll say it till blue in the face. Burberry made a product just like this, and I really liked it. And I'm glad to have something like this again, because this is such an easy, easy, easy contour. You just draw it where you need it, you blend it out. It's no fuss, it's really beautiful. Big fan. And then my other contour product, which is the one I do use more than the Victoria Beckham one actually, is the shade Intuition from Ritual de Fille. This is one of their Inner Glow cream pigments. And this is a beautiful gray. But I feel like there is some like beigey brown in there to make it look really, really nice on the skin as a contour. This isn't a product specifically for contour. It's just a shade that works really well as a contour. So I've been using it as a contour. If you want to know more about my thoughts on contour products, I did a contour video where I tried 10 contour products. There are not only expensive products in there, I did try a handful of products from the drugstore. And I'll tell you this, most of the drugstore products did much better than the higher end ones. So that's something to note, but here those are all swatched for you. So keeping both my contours, that doesn't feel controversial. I only have 2 cream contours and I don't have any powder contours. But speaking of powders, here are the 3 powders I always use. These aren't going anywhere either. This is the Chantecaille Perfect Blur powder. I use this in almost every look. Look, I mean, you can see just like how well loved it is. I've had this for years and I'm still not done with it. And I will use it until I'm done, and I will probably buy it again. Then for under my eyes, I use the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Brightening Powder. You can see I just hit pan in that long ago, so I have that very exciting moment. You know when you first hit pan and then it just like starts growing and growing kind of rapidly around it, and then you get to the edges where you haven't made any progress, and then you have to work those down. That's where I'm at with this, so that's really exciting. I'm excited to see good use on this. I think it's a really beautiful brightening powder. I like to use this under my eyes and like in the center of my face. Instead of using a brightening concealer, I like to use this and use a concealer that matches my skin tone. And before my battery dies, I also have the Charlotte Tilbury regular powder, and I was talking earlier about how I might switch the Givenchy out for this. This is a really beautiful powder and I really, really like it. It's annoying that Charlotte Tilbury sometimes gets it right, because this powder is wonderful and I would buy it again. And I think now that I'm talking about this, I always reach for this over the Givenchy. I might as well just swap it out for the full-size one. So I think I'm going to have to make plans to do that during the holiday season. Ew. I have my quads and potted single shadows here. And we're just going to go through them one by one, and we're going to talk about each thing. So the first thing I'd like to discuss is glitters. I also threw a pigment in here. The only glitter I'm going to keep is this one. This is the shade Houdini from Lemonhead LA. It's the only glitter that I've ever gotten this far into. I use it pretty sparingly and pretty rarely, but I always love when I do use it. So I am going to hold on to that one, but I use glitter very infrequently now. I mostly just go with shadows that have the sparkle in it that I want, and I've been very satisfied with that recently. This is the shade Chidori from Slayfire, and it's really pretty. I've used it quite a bit. It has quite a dip in it, but I just kind of am over my glitter face. I haven't touched these since my last declutter, and I feel like I gave myself, like, if I don't use this between now and my next declutter, it's gotta go. So it's gotta go. And then I also have the shade Mermaid Scales. Also really pretty. This is also from Slayfire, but again, I'm just not using glitter anymore. And then this is from Pat McGrath. This was from one of her like lip trios. And I think I did actually use this. No, I don't reach for this. I don't reach for this. I'm just gonna get rid of it, and I don't need it. But a similar product that I will be keeping, this is from Makeup Forever. I tried to do a Makeup Forever brand review earlier in the year. If you know, you know, and if you don't, well, that makes sense, because it almost didn't really happen. And this is the the Starlit Diamond Powder. This is the shade 2K01. or the shade 106. It's called Granny White, and it's a beautiful white green duochrome. It's really pretty, and it's so sparkly. It doesn't lay as like a flat color. It's just, it has all that texture in it. And something like this Pat McGrath one, which is really, really beautiful, it doesn't have the same texture as this one. I feel like even when you look at it, it does look as just as fine as the Pat McGrath one, but I feel like there are larger chunks in here because it always looks so sparkly and beautiful on the eyes. This is from the brand, the Russian brand, what is it called? Tammy Tanuka. And came in friend mail. It's a really pretty gold pigment, but I haven't reached for it since I decided I'm going to keep it. So I think it's okay to get rid of that as well. But I do appreciate that a lot of people were helping me get into Tammy Tanuka, and that was a very helpful thing. Next up, I have these two from Danessa Myricks. These are the neon color fixes. They don't make these anymore. I'm not really sure why. I really like these for neons. I don't really do a lot of neon looks. I'm not going to squeeze this too hard. I would swatch these for you, but sometimes the product gets built up on the end and it doesn't want to squeeze out. And I'm not going to force it to, because I have seen these explode on people many times. So I'd rather be able to get a paper clip in there, but I'll swatch the orange one for you. Really beautiful neons. And I really like using these on the inner corner when I want to do a neon something. And honestly, they kind of work pretty well as blushes too. I would like another liquid neon, but I already have these two. Again, it's very seldom that I am going for like this neon look, but these are very nice to have when I want to do it. They don't take up a ton of space, and it's not like I have one of every color, and I'm not using them all. I have two, and I like orange and pink as far as neons go. The only other one that I would want would be a yellow. So if anyone knows a good liquid neon that comes in a very, very bright yellow, I would like to know. That would satisfy all of my like neon wants. So okay, so I was a little bit sneaky. I'm laughing because I feel like I got caught with my hands in the cookie jar. Here's what happened. Let me tell you. So you already know about Zebra. I've had it for a while. I bought it after I got back from Philly. It was like a birthday present to myself. So these are the Chantecaille Luminescent eye shades. Okay, so I have Zebra here, and it's a beautiful rose gold. Like, look at that. Look at how beautiful. And I really, really liked it. And I fell in love with the idea of these. Not from YouTube, surprisingly. Now, I knew these were a thing that are very popular, polarizing too, because like these are $54 a pop. I saw one of these in Blue Mercury. I saw all of them in Blue Mercury, and they looked so sparkly and shiny. And they are sparkly and shiny, but they're also like super elegant. And my experience with Zebra very quickly turned into, I want more of these. And I'm a firm believer, and I do mean this, that oftentimes when you buy the shade of something and you get it right, that's why it's your favorite. It's not because of the other shades. However, I really like this shade, but I do think I did not buy the right one to satisfy my need for this kind of thing. And so then I bought two more on Black Friday. I bought Elephant and I bought Pangolin. Now, my friend Andromeda let me know that Flip had some shades 40% off, and that's why I bought them. I did not buy them full price, so I think that's an important distinction. So I bought Elephant, which is the prettiest one. It's this beautiful sparkly olive. And you know what these kind of remind me of? It's a more, they're not, well, they might be baked. They're like almost like a more refined Pat McGrath baked shade. Like, look at that. Now, you can certainly find this kind of shade in another eyeshadow formula, of course. But like Chantecaille really got these right. I don't always, like there are things from Chantecaille I really like. Obviously, I've talked about a thing already. This eyeshadow formula is really, really smooth. You can use them wet or dry, and they are like even more intensely sparkly whenever they're wet. They're really, really great. And then Pangolin is really cool because it's kind of like a topper. It's this dusty mauve or dusty lilac, I think is how they describe it. Oh, that shade is so cool. And I had this all over my lids. And yeah, it's much sheerer than the other two. And okay, I will say, I really, really love these. But the one shade that I still want that was not available when I've bought these two 40% off on Flip is the shade Rhino. And I think once I have Rhino, I will be done with these. But I really, really like these, and they very much fall in line with how I've been doing eyeshadow recently. I'm not saying any of you need a $54 eyeshadow. What I'm saying is if you like single shadows in their own container and you wanted to like do the luxurious step, I don't think these are the wrong way to go. They're really, really beautiful, and I still want one more. And I either have to buy Rhino before the end of the year because I'm going to go on an eyeshadow no buy, or I'm not going to buy it until 2025. And who knows what my relationship with these will be until then. But these have been the eyeshadows that I've been wanting to reach for the most since I got them. And I don't know that it's a newness thing, but I will tell you, as soon as I got the 2 or newer ones, I think I like these ones better than I like Zebra because they tend to be more sparkly. Like Zebra appears in one version of the luminescent eye shades and these ones show up in a different one. So I'm not sure what the distinction is because if you go to Chantekai's website, they're all under the same luminescent eye shade, but like at department stores, they show up as like different formulas. So I don't know if they are, but they're very lovely. I really like them. Oh boy, the sparkly shade that started it all for me when it came to single shadows, Smoky Quartz, and it's still the OG, and it's still a fave of mine. I feel like it's been a while since I've used it, but it's not going anywhere. It's so pretty. I'm going to a holiday party today, so I think I want to use Smoky Quartz. I'm going to set it on my vanities so I don't forget. I have another eyeliner. This is a gel liner from Blink, and whenever I do a dramatic wing, this is where I head. Gel liner is so much easier than liquid liner. I don't know. I feel like the winged liner trend has fallen off a little bit. But if you are someone who's interested in doing winged liner, I would suggest doing a potted gel liner. Much easier to control with a very fine tipped angle brush. This is kind of like a one-off thing. This is the Pat McGrath shade in Ultraviolet Blue. This is aged. It does not feel the same as it did. It doesn't smell. I think it was a cream. It doesn't feel like a cream anymore. This is, when I talk about like missing Pat McGrath, this is what I miss. Like, look at how intense. I don't wear shadows like this anymore, but I always feel compelled to hold on to this because it is just so, it's the prettiest color. It's the prettiest, richest violet blue. I never wear it. I really feel like I should get rid of it. I like feel that in my heart that is what I should do with it. But I feel like I can't because it's my favorite thing I think that Pat McGrath has like ever released as far as color goes, because like look at that. And I wish we got more of stuff like this from Pat McGrath. This was like in a kit, like whenever Pat McGrath only did like limited edition small kits before she had like a brand that was like carried in Sephora, like a full line. I'm gonna challenge myself to use it. No, I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to use it. I can't pass it on to anyone either because it's old. I think it came out like either 2017 or 2018. Like it's old, or maybe 2019. But that's still old. I bought it at launch. I'm going to keep it, but I'm not going to pretend that I'm going to wear it anymore. And I'm just going to move it into like a little makeup souvenir situation. It is a bummer because that is really pretty, but I don't wear makeup like that anymore. It's stunning. I miss the option of it, I guess, is what I really mean, because I won't actually miss it because I never wear it. Let's talk about these. Another eyeshadow formula that I fell in love with and kind of is just up my alley within the last year are the Phytosurgeon's cream shadows. So I have, one of these has to be a blush. No. So these are all of Phytosurgeon's sparkly shades. So if you've ever had questions about how they're going to look, I'm going to swatch them all next to each other right here so you'll be able to take a look at them. So the one that started all, this is Fractal Freesia. This one is like just kind of like a gold champagne. And it has very little base pigment, so it works really well as a topper. But it's really sheer. A lot of people want to know what that looks like compared to Lunar Lightwave, which is this one. This one has some like, I don't know, this one, it doesn't look cool toned in here, but I like to use it more when I'm doing more cool toned look. But it has a peachier base for sure. And it's actually more visible than Fractal Freesia's base. It is really, really stunning. And I also think that Lunar Lightwave has some varying sizes of shimmer particle, where Fractal Freesia also has that, but it just looks quote unquote, no, I don't mean this in a bad way, but like has some chunkier sparkle bits in it, which I love a varying amount. I love varying sizes of texture when I'm wearing shimmers. And then the next closest one would probably be Starlight Symphony, but this one has a much, much stronger base to it, but it still has the sparkle in it. So Starlight Symphony, Lunar Lightwave, and Fractal Freesia. And I would say Fractal Freesia, again, even up against Lunar Lightwave, has less of a base and just kind of almost is a very sheer topper shimmer. And this is all the one special formula. So they have other formulas that don't have like the large shimmer particles. They have like a slight amount of shimmer or like are more satin, but they're not as sparkly as these ones are. And I also feel like under this lighting, you're not really getting a good look at them, but I still plan on making a short with all of these so that you can see them on my eye and see what they look like by themselves. So the next two definitely have more base pigment. This one is kind of like a coppery almost shade, and this is the shade Astral Atmosphere. And just like Starlight Symphony, it has a stronger base, but still has the sparkles in it. The ones with a stronger base, I feel like the sparkle, you can see it a little bit less than you can in like the top two or the top three really. And then, ooh, the most beautiful, what I would call this for myself a bedroom eyes brown. I don't really believe in that philosophy, but my friend Kackie does. Crystal Constellation, again, has a stronger base. They're all so pretty. This one was sent to me in PR. Crystal Constellation was sent to me in PR, and so was Lunar Lightwave. These two were sent to me in PR by the brand. They were birthday gifts to me, which was very sweet. Really no regrets. I haven't gotten to use the two newest ones to me very often. Starlight Symphony I've used more, but honestly, like if we're talking about the ones I use the most, it's been Fractal Freesia and Lunar Lightwave. And then Crystal Constellation. And then, yeah, those ones are just too new, but I can't wait to play with them more because they're so pretty. They're so pretty. I don't know what to tell you. They're just so pretty. All right. So I told you I have more of these. These are the Surat Souffle eyeshadows. I have two other shades. This one is my favorite and this one is the best. And if I were to recommend any of them to you, if you're into mauve, pluie mauve, or mauve, pluie mauve, however you want to say it, is the one to go to. It has green shimmers in it. I feel like we're not going to be able to see it because with all the sparkle I have going on and how light these are, you're not really going to get to probably see, but there's green sparkles in there. It looks so good on the eyes. And I think that it makes my eyes look a little more green. I'm not really sure how it does that. I think this formula is incredible. I really, really enjoy it. And Pluie Mauve is the GOAT when it comes to the shades. But another shade I really like is Nuage d'Argent. Alex is going to make fun of me. They're going to be in the comments being like, there you go, try to say French again. Listen, Alex, leave me alone. But that's what that shade looks like. It's like a gray and has champagne sparkles in it. It's like one of those things where it's like, this is a cool tone, but also has warm tones in it. It's kind of the vibe. The Pat McGrath blue stained my arm because of course it did. I'm also covered in so much sparkle. Again, these are really beautiful sheer washes and you can build them up. I've done it before. In the first video I used them on camera, I showed what it looked like after 3 applications whenever you apply and let dry, apply and let dry. And you can really see a lot of the colors and nuance in that, but I really like to do them as a very sheer wash. And you don't have to use your finger with these, surprisingly. Brushes work really well. And again, you can layer them with the brush. You just have to wait. I would say use a brush you don't care about getting wet because it will get wet. It's really strange. That formula is really strange, but really delightful. Honestly, overall, big fan of that formula. I don't know if they're gonna make more shades of that, but if they do, hi, Surat. If you do, hi, can you see my nose? If you do, I would like more. There are 2 shades or 3 shades that I don't have or haven't tried. I'd like them. Surat, if you're listening, hello, Surat. If I asked, they probably would. But I'm going to reserve that for other things because they just sent me a bunch of brushes. Victoria Beckham lid lusters. I have 2. We all know the star of the show here, the one running this whole makeup collection, is Mink. And Mink is my favorite eyeshadow, by the way. I think it should be said, it should be noted that That's my favorite eyeshadow. I have a lot of favorite eyeshadows, but I think that if I could only keep... Now, I know I did that video if I could only keep one, but like truly, like I don't even need other eyeshadows to wear mink. Mink is just perfect. It's warm, it's cool, it's weird, it's interesting, it's smoky. Oh, it's just what dreams are made of. But I also have the shade Onyx, which my friend Colin, Queerbones on YouTube, they were shopping on Victoria Beckham during the Black Friday sale, and they said that the Onyx was not on the website anymore. Now, I certainly use Onyx a lot less. I feel like I don't have a lot of occasions to like wear a sooty, sparkly black. I really like the way it looks when I do get to use it, and it kind of becomes, whenever I do want to do like a sultry wing with like a very like just right on the lids, a little bit smoked out, Onyx is really, really beautiful for that. And we respect her. You know, I thought about decluttering it like whenever I was thinking about what would go at the end of the year. Like I truly don't use it as much as I use mink, and I don't think about it as much as I think about mink or like any of the other shades you see here. But I really like this formula, and I'm gonna hold on to it because whenever you want that, boy, is it nice to have. Because otherwise you'd have to like mix a bunch of things to make that kind of thing happen, which isn't impossible, but like to be able to just smudge it on your eye with a finger, that's the tits. It is. I feel like my batteries are all going to die here soon. So let's get through my eyeshadow, my small eyeshadow palettes. What I started doing with this is I put a bunch of cream and white shadows in. I like to set my eyeshadow base, and I put this in this top drawer. So whenever I'm using single shadows and I want to have something down as a base first, I'll use the NARS primer, and then I'll set it with one of these, and then I'll put whatever single shadow I want over top of it for longevity. So that's why these are up here. But then these three are shades that I got in PR from the Creator Friends. These are two Sydney Grace shades, and then this is a Cleona shade. I put them in here because I haven't played with them yet, and it will remind me whenever I'm doing eyeshadow, whenever I'm using these to set the base. I still have I don't think I've even swatched either of those shades. So I'm excited to try them. I've heard a lot of good things about Sydney Grace. So that one's more of like a utilitarian thing, and then I have actual eyeshadows. So let's start with the Rowan Quads because one of them is going to depart. It's one of those things where like I said, I've been thinking about these. Now, since things like the Victoria Beckham Lid Luster and the Phytosurgeon's eyeshadows and even like the Shantic eyeshadows, any of the single shadows we just looked at came into my life, I've overlooked these often for those. So I still really like the Rowan Quads, but I definitely think of this one the least. This is the 52 degrees cool, and one of my subscribers was very kind enough to send me this. I really like it. I really, really do. But one of my goals with this declutter is to get to my favorites of my favorites. And if I have two and I only think of one and I barely think of using either of them, I should get rid of the one that I think of the least. So I'm going to get rid of the 52 degrees cool. And then I'm going to keep the 1111 quad because these top two shades are really, really special. Situation, like that's a really bad finger swatch. But on the eyes, well, hold on. Now that I'm looking at it, let me pull out Lunar Lightwave again. Oh, you know what? No, okay. So the one thing about Situation versus Lunar Lightwave, which they might not be the closest to, but they look like very similar. I will say the Phytosurgeon's ones last on my lids all day. The Rowan ones do crease in a very cool, slinky, sexy way, which I kind of like. So I'm going to keep it because Situation is really pretty. But I like this gray one, which I don't think any of the other ones that I have of this kind of thing, like the Phytosurgeons or the Surratt, like I don't have anything like that gray one because it's a very sheer wash of gray. Wait, that's not true because I have Gree Dew. You know what? I don't think I need the Rowan Quads. I think that the Surratt shades and the Phytosurgeon shades have taken over and they hold up better on my eyes. Oh, that's so sad. But it's my truth. And I think that's okay. I can give those to Tiffany, who I know has been eyeing them up. Especially they really like the shade Situation, which is really pretty. And like the Phytosurgeon's ones don't have as much varying shades, but if it stays in my house and Tiffany takes it, I can go borrow it. I know that Rowan sells like 2 disco shades that are like singles, and I've heard that they're not the same thing as these, but maybe I'd buy those because I might be more inclined to use these kinds of shadows as singles, because I feel like with all of the other single shades in here, they're very similar kinds of formulas, even though like they hold up a little bit better on my eyes than the Rowan ones. But like I'm more inclined to think of them as singles, and I never think of those Rowan quads as singles. So maybe I'll invest in some of the Rowan singles. Maybe that would be wise of me. What happened? Where did this how did this happen? I have two more. Let's start with the Charlotte Tilbury. This isn't going anywhere because this blue in here I think about all the time. I don't think it's like this beautiful navy. It's really dark. It's not black, it is blue. It's so cool. Like, I just really love that shade. Not only that, I also love this shade. And these are like the Pop Shot formula, which I've come to really love. That one reads it more as like a highlighting topper. Also really pretty. The downside of this quad is that I don't really care about these two warmer shades. Those are fine. I'll swatch them. I'm running out of space. Those are, and they're really pretty, but they're like nothing compared to those two. And then my Surratt eyeshadows. And I think this is going to be an unpopular opinion. I think people will disagree with me wanting to keep them. Sorry, I'm wiping off my arm. Because here's what I'll say, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, it is the truth of my experience with them. The Surratt eyeshadows are both lovely and imperfect. They're lovely because they're some of the easiest eyeshadows that I've ever worked with. They're not fussy. They blend on the eye almost like a cream, and yet they're powders. They're beautiful, nuanced shades. Look at that. Look at that hand. I'm so covered in mica. I get like a few hours of wear, and then they kind of do what Rowan shadows do, where they would like get creasy and kind of look sultry and sexy, which I like as a look, but I still use them. The thing is, they're like imperfect, but I still use them because I like working with them. And they look really great on camera, so if I am just doing a look for a video, they're nice to have for that. I don't know that if you have oily eyelids, and other people I know have oily eyelids and have gotten these to work, I don't know why they don't work on my eyelids. I've done glitter primer, I've done regular primer, I've done set primer, I've done unset primer. The only thing I have yet to try is over the Victoria Beckham shadow sticks, which might work because the shadow sticks stay on my lid. So if they're holding on to those, maybe they'll stay on my lid. Either way, I still really like them. I'm gonna hold on to them. Here's what I'm decluttering. I'm decluttering my two Rowan quads, the 1111 and the 52. Getting rid of my Pat McGrath Ultraviolet Blue glitters. And then these two pigments. I think it makes a lot of sense for me not to get rid of too much from this drawer, actually, because doing single shadow looks has been my preferred way to do eyeshadow this year. So for me to go through all of my single shadows and be like, these are really pretty, I've accumulated most of those shadows this year when my preferences have changed. So I think it makes a lot of sense for this drawer to be like, of course I'm keeping a lot of those things. But I did not expect to get rid of both Rowan quads. I thought I was just going to get rid of the 52 degrees. But after seeing the Rowans up against the Phytosurgeons and up against the Surratt shadows, I'm going to choose those over the Rowan shades every time. So that's that. Okay, I get to put everything back in the drawer. I'm covered in glitter. And then I'll probably record the rest of my declutter on another day. Not that you need to know that, but I'm done decluttering today. So now we're on to drawer 3. It's not really a miscellaneous drawer. They make sense to me where they are, but it is my lipstick and my like foundation, complexion, concealer drawer. I don't know why this is how I've done this, but it does make sense when you look at the drawers. I don't have a lot of lipsticks. I can't dedicate an entire drawer to lipsticks, nor do I want to, nor do I even need the acrylic organizer this size. And then a lot of the foundations won't sit upright in any of the other drawers because like this drawer is deeper than some of the other drawers. So that's why it's like this. So I don't know. Let's start with primers though. Here are all of my primers. I also threw this in here too, but we'll talk about it in a second. And I think I've mentioned that my room is uneven, so we will get to this one last. I think I probably talked about this in my Best of Beauty. This is the MAC Fix Plus Stay Over, and this is their like all-nighter. This is MAC's solution to their finishing spray, not really giving you a lot of longevity. I bought this when I was in Vegas, and it made my makeup last all day, the days that I was there, and all night, because I was out all night. So this product is really, really good. And I'm glad I have a mini. This is not something that I need on the day-to-day, but every now and then I need my makeup to survive the night. And this is really nice to have on hand. So I probably will always have like a mini version of this laying around. So I'm going to keep that. And then I have two. One's almost empty. And then I have my backup. This is one product that I will allow myself to have a backup because I will always use it. Fix Plus is my favorite way to finish off any makeup look. And I don't always use it, but I don't see a world in which I switch to another thing exclusively. So for me, it's really okay for me to have a backup. I bought these as a set in the Nordstrom summer sale. So I'm almost done with this bottle, and then I'll have this one to crack into. So I won't be decluttering these, but yeah, I don't think I have like an overabundance of setting sprays or like finishing mists. And then we have kind of two of my glowy primers. So I have the #1 de Chanel. This is the Camellia Rose Skin Enhancer in soft pink. I actually really, really like this. And I wouldn't say it's like a highlighter. I would say that this is more like a primer. Like obviously you get that sheen. It has the Chanel fragrance. So if you are opposed to fragrance in your products, this wouldn't be something for you. All that to be said, I think I'm actually going to declutter this. And the reason is not because I don't like it. I just don't see a world where I'm choosing it over the Auric Glow Lust. Now, when I chose to keep this, whenever this was in my testing drawer, this was sent to me by my friend Nicole, who's also known online as Majestic Beast Beauty. She sent this over to me because she didn't like it. And all of her complaints about it, I think, are valid. Like, it doesn't really look like the pigments are really well mixed in here. But I never felt like it didn't apply beautifully. Like I said, whenever I was moving this from the testing drawer, I thought, well, it'll be nice to have like a pink version of something like the Glow Lust, but the Glow Lust I can put on top of makeup, where when I tried to put this on top of my makeup, it wasn't disastrous, but it also didn't really do anything. So for that reason, I think that it's okay to let go of this. It's not my precious, where the Auric Glow Lust is my precious. So here's the Auric Glow Lust. I have the shade Morganite, and this is just perfect. It's like the perfect shimmer goo for me. The only thing that I wish, and while this is, you know, neutral enough to use with cool tone looks and warm tone looks, I really hope that someday Auric does something like pink or maybe a little bit of a soft blue shift in the Glow Lust. I think I also said earlier this year, someone asked me if I ever did a collab, what would I do? And I would want to work with Samantha on doing like a limited run of Glow Lust, but in like not like completely iridescent colors. Like I still want them to look natural, but something a little bit more ethereal than this. Not that this isn't ethereal, but when I say ethereal, I mean like a little bit alien, but not like meat sweats alien, but like just something very, very ethereal. Something like the, I forget what they're called, the Creature of Light primers. I don't know what they're called, but from Ritual Defy. It's something like that, but in this Auric formula, because I do really like this Auric formula. So I can use this as a primer. I can use this as a highlight. I often just put it down after my foundation before I do the rest of my cheek products to give me a really glowy cheek. This is one of my favorite products that I own. Still, to this day, one day I will get through it. There's just a lot of product in there. It's a very generous amount of product you get in there. It is expensive, but I can't imagine anyone burning through this so fast that it doesn't feel worth it. And then I have this. I'm just going to talk about it real quick. This is the Mayron Mixing Medium. This is for like mixing in with pigments and stuff to kind of turn them into a liquid eyeshadow. It's also kind of like a primer because it does improve the longevity of those shadows. But I keep this on hand. It's not something I use very much. That's like why there's not that much gone. And I've had this since 2020, I believe. So I could have bought a smaller bottle, but I have that one. And here's another thing. Makeup by Mario sells this exact product, but in a much smaller container for much more money. Just buy Mayron. So I would also say that this one has alcohol in it. So keep that in mind as well. I think Duraline is a similar idea, but it's not as like astringent as this one feels. So but I'm only saying that because when I worked at Sephora, my coworker, she had like a reaction to the Makeup by Mario one. And so I just want to throw that out there that she eventually, I think, landed on the Duraline. So Durline I think is going to be a little bit easier on the skin than this is. Not that this like tears up my skin, it's just something to be aware of. Next up I have the Ritual Defee Thorn Oil. The funny thing was when I was coming into this declutter, I thought I was going to declutter this. However, this winter my skin is a lot drier than I think it's ever been. Like my skin is just a little bit different now, and like that comes with aging. Like your skin just kind of changes sometimes. And I'm certainly not dry. I'm still oily, but I have one of these in my bathroom and I use it with skincare as a finishing step, and my skin's been needing it. But my first thought was to declutter this to Cam because they're so interested in this. But unfortunately, I think I am going to get use out of this. And it's always nice to have something like this to test new foundations with, just because this is going to be someone's preference. And also, I have found that there are foundations that I really like with this, but I don't like with my regular primer. So I'm going to keep it for that reason. And then I have, oh, I forgot one of my primers. Hold on. I didn't pull this out. This is the Victoria Beckham Cell Rejuvenating Priming Moisturizer. And I have the shade Golden. I'm just going to put it over top of the Chanel one. I mean, if you know anything about anything, if you've ever watched any of my channel this year, you'll know that I finished up the regular one and I can't wait to buy it again. But I really like the Golden one too. It has more of a sheen, I would say. And some people use this as a mix-in. I find that that doesn't really work for me. I don't know. I feel like every time I use it as a mix-in, it just doesn't change the foundation at all for me. Anyway, I really love this product. I do always want to have the Golden one on hand, but I do miss the original. And the reason I realized that this wasn't in frame, because I was about to talk about this, which is the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. This is like a jumbo size, but I've gotten into it and I've obviously been working on it again since I finished up my Victoria Beckham primer. This is a beautiful primer. This Bobbi Brown is a beautiful primer. However, I do like the Victoria Beckham one more. So I'm waiting for the day that I finish this up just so I can buy that again. And obviously, I'm an adult. I could buy the Victoria Beckham and declutter this one, but this one's really good. It's not like feeling like a chore to get through this product. It's just feeling like a chore because it's not my favorite, but I've been enjoying it again. It's still a very, very beautiful primer. And I think because it's a little bit thicker right now as I'm in the winter season and my skin's a little bit more dry and I'm feeling the effects of that, this is really nice to have on hand. So I will be keeping that. I'm gonna finish that up, but the second I do, we're gonna be back to the Victoria Beckham Cell Rejuvenating Priming Moisturizer. It's really early. It's 6:30 as I film this, so my mouth isn't working yet, but I have other things I have to do today. And I was up and I was like, let's get started. So let's move on to foundations and concealers. So here are all of my foundations and concealers. So I try to only have 4 foundations at a time. And in theory, I do. The Surratt Dewdrop foundation, if you know anything about me, if you've ever watched one of my videos, if you watch, I feel like even in videos where I don't use it, I'm talking about it. This is my favorite foundation. I love it. I have lamented this packaging. I also think I'm almost out a couple of times. It's not the best packaging, but unfortunately, I do believe for me, this is the best foundation. I have the shade 1.5 if you're a skin twin. But I like this a lot. You can watch any of my videos where I've discussed it. I did a Surratt brand review. I did a video just about this foundation. So if you're interested in that, check those out. But it's not going anywhere. It's just my favorite. Then I have the Glossier Skin Tint, and this was a gift from Cam. They're the absolute best. I have the shade G11, and I do believe that Cam went back and watched my original Glossier series to figure out what shade I was. Almost all year, I talked about how much I missed having this, and I did. Once Cam gifted it to me, I remembered all the things I love about it, and it's much more of my preference now than it was whenever I initially tried it. It was one of those things that kicked around in my drawer for a really long time when I had it originally, and then one day I just fell in love with it, there is something to be said whenever we talk about declutters, like eventually maybe keeping something around and then finding it very useful. Here's what I like about it. I think it's just a really blurring product. It's like there's no coverage, but it blurs the skin. I'm more into blur than I am into coverage. And so this just provides me a lot of what I love. And then when I mix it with all of the other things, it basically looks like I have like a medium coverage foundation on with like the powders and such that I use. This is really nice to have on hand. It's like my more casual wear, but I wear it in videos sometimes too. Certainly something with more coverage looks better on camera than this, but I like the way this looks in real life. I think it's gorgeous. Then I have this beautiful thing. This was sent to me by my friend Ananda, who's known as medium_olive on Instagram. She sent this over to me with a bunch of other stuff. And this is the Chantecaille Bamboo Compact Makeup. Bamboo is the shade, and it's a powder foundation. And I had never tried a powder foundation before I tried this, but it actually looks really, really lovely on me. I still feel like it's too early to call whether or not it's something that I want to keep or declutter. It's something that I think I could declutter later, but I'm still new to the powder foundation game, so it's hard thinking about this over some of my other stuff, but it looks really good on my skin, and actually the little bit of green in here works on my skin. Now, I don't think I have like an olive skin tone at all, but I do think there is some green there, just like a like maybe a skosh, which is why I think the skosh works for me, but it didn't work for Ananda. Ananda has like beautiful medium olive skin, and I certainly do not. But I really, really liked playing with this and trying this. So it gives me hope for future powder foundations. Like I could see myself trying a powder foundation in the future based on my experience with this, because I really enjoyed playing with this. This is from Surratt. This is the Surratt Surreal Skin foundation. If you know about Surratt, you'll be like, why is the brush not there? I pulled it off because I didn't like it. And I think I'm almost done with this. And again, this is the shade 1.5. I have found with Surratt's foundations that they are pretty consistent. Now we'll look at the concealers in a moment. I like this. It's a nice medium, very glowy foundation. I find it glowy, but I've heard other people say it's not glowy for them. It's like pretty glowy for me. And it's nice to have on hand whenever I do want a little bit more coverage, because a lot of the liquid foundations that I keep on hand are a little more light coverage, which is like actually my preference. But I really enjoyed this. I like the way it looks on camera a lot. Here's the deal. I probably won't re-up on this. It's not one of my most favorite foundations I ever tried, but I really, really like it. And it's something I could see coming back into my life after I use it up. Like if I work with Surratt again, like if they send me PR, like, and they offer it to me, I probably would take it again to use up. There's only a half ounce of product in here. There's only 0.74 or 0.75 ounces of product in the dewdrop. So that's something to note. So like I did kind of go through this pretty quickly. Like I sometimes when I pump, like nothing comes out. I don't think I'm entirely done, but when I'm done, I'm just gonna like keep the component, because this is refillable. Keep the component and then see if I ever feel like buying the refill. I don't know if that will happen. I think if this wasn't almost empty, it was something that I probably would declutter. I would consider decluttering, because we're going to talk about the Givenchy in a second. But as far as foundations go, once I use it up, it's going to be out of my collection. And I just don't think it's going to take me that long to finish up. I've said that before about foundations, and it's taken me a very long time to finish this up. But I'm going to wipe off my arm, and then we're going to do some concealer swatching. We'll end with the color corrector. Someone did DM me on Instagram and asked me to swatch some of my concealers next to each other so they could see them better. So this is for you. I mean, I was going to swatch all of them anyway, but you're going to get a good look at them. So let's start with the Surratt Dewdrop Concealer. This is my favorite concealer I've ever tried. It's wonderful, amazing, gorgeous, stunning, beautiful, amazing, gorgeous and stunning, and I've said so many nice things about it throughout the year, so you can check out my review, and it was in my year-end favorites. It's the, if I only could pick one concealer to keep for the rest of my life, at this juncture, obviously there's time for me to try more, it would be the one I would choose. So I have shades 1 and 2. Shade 1 is too light for me. I'm gonna try to get good juicy swatches so you can see the shades next to each other. And then I have shade 2, which shade 2 is much closer to my skin tone, but it is a little bit yellow. And what I normally do is I mix the two together, so to make kind of like an in-between brightener shade. Now, Kackie has told me that we're skin twins. She said that shade 3 works for her, so shade 3 must be more neutral, but I also know that Michelle Wong uses shade 3. It's really hard to tell what our skin tones are on camera, so I know that a lot of this is you have to hear and see it to kind of make your best decision. So I'm obviously not getting rid of those, but the person who DM'd me on Instagram was asking about this. This is the Surreal Skin Concealer, and they wanted to see shade 2 next to shade 2. Now, this concealer is much peachier, so it's not an exact match for match as far as shade 2 in the Dewdrop and shade 2 in the Surreal Skin. So I like this concealer. But what I'm also going to tell you is that I would never recommend you buy this concealer unless you have an excess of money. This costs $50. There is not a lot of product in here. I was sent this in PR. I really like it and I would like to use it up. What I like about this concealer, it's pretty light coverage. It's very similar, in my opinion, to the Glossier concealer, in that it like does the job but not too much, and it looks really good on the skin. And this is like my power combo whenever I'm like not wanting to do that much with my skin. These are like the two products that come to play every single time. So I really like it for that. But just so you can see the difference, it is a little more peachy than yellow in shade 2. I don't have shade 3 to swatch. I'm gonna guess that shade 3 is more neutral than shade 2 of the Dewdrop concealer. One day we'll probably have it, but I probably wouldn't buy that until I ran out of the 2 that I have. Let's talk about the Givenchy Prism Libre concealer. This is a skin caring concealer. A lot of people really like this. I don't dislike it, but I actually don't like it under my eyes, which a lot of other people say that it's like their holy grail for that. The Surreal Dewdrop concealer is my favorite under my eyes. I wear this as a foundation, and I think it works the best as a foundation for me. It's so funny when you see all of these things together. It's like, how do I wear all of these? And they look just so different on the skin. I would say that this is more coverage than the Dewdrop, at least it's appearing that way, but it does appear to be pretty similar to shade 2, maybe just a little bit deeper than of the Dewdrop concealer. This isn't my favorite complexion product, but like I said, I like to wear it as a foundation. I took it to Vegas with me as my only complexion product, kind of like to do a dual thing. And I don't know that it did a really good job for me in the desert. Like, it wasn't dewy enough for the desert, but I feel like when I wear it at home, when I wear it here in Pittsburgh, it looks really dewy on me. I like it. And my idea is that when this is finished, the Surreal Skin foundation is finished, I will just use this, focus on this. Like, these are 2 complexion products that I like enough to finish, but like I won't buy the Givenchy concealer again, and like I wouldn't buy this. So I'm gonna get through this, then I will start wearing this. The concealer is certainly more coverage than my 2 preferred complexion products. So it's nice to have something with a little more coverage on hand as a foundation product, just, you know, just in case you're having a little bit of a breakout. And then I have the Chanel corrector in there. And I don't even know if they make this. Like, this is available sometimes, and then it's like not available other times. It's my only like color correcting product. I have no idea how far I am, but I will keep using it. I don't think you need to buy the Chanel one when you're going for color corrector. And I mean that as someone who enjoys luxury. It's not a luxury experience holding this. It's like a Maybelline component. Like, it's the only reason you know it's a Chanel product is because of the label on top. So not everyone needs that. Okay, I'm gonna wipe off my arm and we're gonna move on to lip products, which I know are gonna stain me. I think I'm gonna start with bullet lipsticks and end with like shiny glossy products. So I think that's go. Here are all of my bullet lipsticks. I probably will make a bit of a dent here, but maybe not too much of one. So don't get your hopes up, but maybe. So this is Whirl from MAC. And what you're gonna find here is that I love brown lipsticks. And I like this one because it's a little bit more of like a pinky brown. It looks straight brown until you start getting some of the other browns next to it. And then you start seeing that little bit of like red pink undertone to it. I really love this. I will say I was probably wearing this a lot more in the summertime this year. Well, maybe it wasn't even the summertime, but I turned in a bunch of, maybe it was last year. Anyway, it was one of the last times I took things into MAC to do the recycling program. So it was like it was free. So I really like it. I haven't worn it in a while. I feel like when it comes to a lip product, I just kind of hyper fixate on it a while and then I move on to another thing and then I swatch all of my lipsticks and it's like, wow, I have a lot of lipsticks. Speaking of products that I haven't touched in a while, I was recently looking through my drawer and I forgot all about the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude in Noah. So this is a little bit icky, like an icky brown. And it's whenever you start getting the browns next to each other is when you start seeing all of the differences in them. So this is like a light yellow milk chocolatey brown, and it is so, so pretty. And I don't know why it escapes my brain all of the time, but I would really like to make an effort to use this more. I really like this formula. Not my favorite formula of lipstick, but I like this color. And I like the formula enough to be like, I already found the color, so I'm just going to keep using the formula. So that will remain. Now, here is Gucci A Royal Scandal. And I'm going to swatch it right next to that one. So it's a little bit darker than Noah. And I would say, while Noah has yellow in it, the Gucci shade is like a little more gray-green. And if you're looking for that, some people can find this sometimes. I have issues finding it whenever I'm trying to list it in my description box. But if you can find it and you're into that, it's worth seeking out. Again, kind of like the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude. Don't think that the Gucci formula is my favorite formula of lipstick, but one thing that Gucci does really well with their lipsticks is like the shades are really, really incredibly nuanced, and they're not like a lot of shades. Like you might have looked at this in the bullet and thought, okay, that's just like a nudie brown. And then whenever you see it on the lips, it's just a completely different thing. So I'm going to keep that, obviously. Done some damage on this. Like we're almost at the embossing, which I think was like in the center. So I'm going to keep using that. And then this, Ananda sent me this. It says Cimarron, and this is newer to me, but it's another, guess what, brown. This is closer to Whirl. But I think that this has a little more of like a purpley quality. Like I think that like this is raisiny, whereas MAC is like a little more pink. Again, there's nuances to these. And also I'm not going to declutter a Gucci lipstick unless I really don't like the color, but I'll wear that. I'll wear that. I've worn it quite a bit since I got it. But again, we'll see later that a lip product, a lip formula has taken over my life right now. This is the Oma Beauty She Tour lipstick. I just want to say, because I like learned about this recently. Well, let me talk about the product. It is a weird formula. It has like, oh, it's like busting into the bullet. That's a bummer. Whatever. I'll still use it. It has like this pink base. And on the lip, I really feel like I can't see that pinkiness to it. It just turns out being like a brown gloss. But what I do want to say, if you want to buy anything from Oma, I would buy it from Ulta. I've heard that people are buying stuff on the Oma website and nothing is shipping right now. So I don't know what's going on. So I can't confidently say that you should go buy this from the Oma website if you were interested in this. But actually, we're going to set this aside. We might declutter that because I have similar products coming up. I forgot that that was glossy. I was trying to wait to do all my glossy products at once because it's so gross. So incredibly gross to swatch lip glosses on the arm. But we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Okay, next up, this is from Pat McGrath. This is Flesh 3. And this is a lot more red than the rest of them, very terracotta-y. And here's the deal. This product is quite old in my collection, and I never reach for it. And every time I like go to reach for it, I choose not to. I think it looks really good on the lips. But I think that with the age, and I know this is like, what this happens sometimes with matte lipsticks, and Pat McGrath is notorious for this. It also doesn't even like look that great. So I think its time has come to pass in my makeup collection. So I'm good on that. I will be decluttering it. Wow, I haven't decluttered much from this drawer. Next up, I have Merit 1990. So if you know anything about me, you'll know that this isn't going anywhere. So this is much sheerer. This has like a nice chapsticky, comfortable quality. I would say of the lipsticks I've swatched, it's closest to the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude, but I think it's a little more neutral than the shade Noah. But yeah, this isn't going anywhere. I love it. I love the component. It's great. I'm going to keep swatching all of my browns. So this was sent to me by my friend Ella Essentially on Instagram. This is the lipstick from Kofi in the shade Kadi Kiss, Khadi. And this is newer to me, and I did take this to Vegas, and it's actually not really like any of it's actually a lot peachier than any of the other lipsticks I have going on. It's also like a pretty light lipstick shade, which I really like. I found the formula pretty agreeable. I don't think it's like the most noteworthy lipstick formula, but I like it. You can kind of see that it falls in line with like everything that I like, so it will get used. My final two like nudie lipsticks. This is from Makeup Forever, and I haven't taken the time to do this, but I hate this formula. I hate this formula, but I love this color. It's the shade 100 Empowered Beige. And there's that. It's obviously much lighter than all of the other shades I have going here. I hate this formula. I do not recommend this formula. I bought this when I was going to do my Makeup Forever review. And the thing about the shade is it looks really, really, really good with a gray lip liner, and then it's like this beautiful gray lip on me. Doesn't want to stay on my lips. It like rejects being on my lips. Even when my lips are like perfectly ready, plump, juicy, like ready to accept a lip product, it still looks kind of horrid on it. It's very, very high maintenance. I would love to have a shade like this in a formula. Like even like the Gucci would, I think, would be a good formula for this kind of shade. And I'm sure Gucci has a shade like that. Next time I'm at a Sephora that has Gucci, I might look. I might just start carrying this around with me anytime I'm going to the mall to be like, can we dupe this? Because I hate this formula. But if I'm going to dupe it, I'm going to dupe it with like a formula that I already know I like, you know, Gucci or the Natasha Denona, or even MAC. I like the MAC lipsticks. This has a satin finish. It doesn't need to be a satin finish. I just like the color. So soft matte would work as well. So I'm keeping this because I like the color and I do use it occasionally. And I always get compliments when I wear it on my lips. People always ask, and I'm always like, I don't recommend it, but this is what it is. So that's that. And then my last like nude is from Surat. This is their Lip Slick in Heaven. And this is the color of my lips. It's just like that is the color of my lips. I like it because it's really easy to wear. I don't love this formula and I don't find myself reaching for it very often. I would sooner just wear a lip gloss if I wanted that sheen. The thing is, I just feel like it got the white ring of death, but then it also doesn't really look like anything on the lips, which you might like that not looking like anything on the lips, but your lip would have to be that color. That's the reason that it feels that way for me. So I just don't think it's the best lipstick formula. So I'm going to actually declutter that. That was sent to me in PR, by the way. Now we're moving on to some colorful lipsticks. This is the Givenchy Sheer Velvet Matte in the shade Brick. And this is weird because it swatches really badly, but it looks really gorgeous on the lips. This is my favorite lipstick matte formula. Bullet lipstick matte formula. Givenchy killed it. The thing is, I don't need more velvet matte lipsticks. You know, like I don't need that. But I also think this shade is really killer. With a brown lip liner, it's giving Halloween vibes. It's stunning. And then my other orange lipstick, this is the Bobbi Brown Luxe lipstick in the shade Atomic Orange. And it is a neon orange. I don't find a lot of reasons to wear this. Everything about this lipstick is perfect. It's like, the formula is really, really lovely. I would love to have another shade that's more wearable for me. I love that Bobbi Brown has like a neon like this. I think that's really, really cool. And the component's really, really, really lovely. It's nice and heavy and gorgeous and stunning to look at. I got this in gratis when I worked at Sephora, so it is also old, but the formula still holds up and it still smells good. So I'm keeping it. And then I have this black lipstick from Black Moon Cosmetics. Again, kind of like with the Atomic Orange shade, I don't find a lot of reasons to wear black. I always love when I do though. So, and every time I swatch it, I go, I should wear black lipstick in my next video. So if you see black lipstick in my next video, it's because I just did my declutter and I was like, ah, yes, I really like that. So I'm gonna wipe off this arm, but here are all of like my neutrals and oranges and everything that was in a bullet form. And then we're going to do glosses, and then we'll finish with liquid lipsticks because those are going to stain. There is a bit of like a red stain from the last grouping. So just keep that in mind as you see the swatches. There's just like a little bit of red around them, and that might change the way things appear on screen. I missed a bullet lipstick. I think we'll do some damage here. So I have 4 of the YSL Candy Glazes, and that's a good sign because it is my current favorite lip formula. This one is clear. I'm not going to swatch it for you. It's the shade 0 or 2. It's a shade 2. I think it's called Sweet Pink or something like that. And yeah, I wear this kind of mostly as a lip balm. Oh my God, there's a hair on it. There's a hair on it. Of course there is. It's probably from my mustache. This makes the most sense. I wear this as a lip balm. I know I talked about how you don't need a $40 lip balm, and I'm still saying you don't need a $40 lip balm, but I'm saying that I like this $40 lip balm, and it's great, it's perfect, and it's stunning, it's gorgeous, and I have no complaints about it. But I also have it in a couple of shades. This is shade 4. This is something nude. It's interesting because when you isolate it, it looks really orange, but on my lips, because of the pigmentation of my lips, these are sheer, it makes it like much more nude, but it does look orange at first when you put it on. But I always feel like when I look at it and then I zoom out and look at the rest of my face, it's not too contrasty. I wear this with more neutral or warmer leaning looks, and sometimes I wear this one as a chapstick because of like how close it is to a little bit to my actual lip shade. So keeping that. This is shade 14. This is the one that started it all. This is the one that Kackie bought for me. It is called Scenic Brown. It's perfect. It's perfect. And it's my favorite one still. The one that Kackie gifted me is my favorite one. And I built this pigmentation up. If you do one swipe of this on the lips, it's pretty sheer. It's not, it'll look more like a brown nude, but it looks beautiful built up as well. I don't know what to tell you. It's, I'm gonna keep it. And then this is shade 3, which is Cocoa No Boundaries or Cacao No Boundaries. And it's described as a brown, but it has so much more red to it than Scenic Brown. So this one's probably gonna take me the longest to finish up. And I'm going to be honest with you. Here's what I would say. If this is based on my preferences, I will probably always have a clear one going, and I will always want Scenic Brown. But when I finish these two, I wouldn't buy these two shades again. They're pretty. They're really pretty, and I will use them up. But this would look really great on someone with a deeper complexion, but it is so warm with that redness to it. And like I said, you can share them out on the lips, and I get the most compliments when I wear this shade, but it is my least favorite of the shades that I bought. So my recommendation is if you are interested in the Candy Glaze, going to swatch them in person if you can would be the way to go. I have 2 Victoria Beckham Posh glosses. I really like this formula. It is my favorite lip gloss formula, but they smell a little weird. They smell a little off. I've had them for over a year, and I know that Victoria Beckham is considered a clean brand, so they probably have gone off because of different preservatives. I will absolutely buy Tan Line again because I really, really like it. Not right now. I want to get through some of those candy glazes before I do. I'll swatch it for you because I love this shade. It has a little bit more of like yellow to it. Also kind of maybe a little bit like, it's a little bit of a baby poop color to it. But these are so sheer and so comfortable. And I got the clear one as a gift with purchase. I really like them both. I'm not going to swatch the clear one. It's a clear lip gloss, but I'm going to declutter these and throw them away because they feel like they've gone off. Is this all I have left? Sorry, I'm just looking at the Pat McGrath lip glosses. I used to have so many, and there's only 2. This is from Finding Ferdinand, and this is the collab with my bestie Kackie. And I don't actually, what is the shade actually called? Limoncello. And it smells like limoncello, and it's a very sheer with a gold sheen gloss. It's really great. It's not my favorite lip gloss formula, but I like the way it looks on the lips. So, and I like the way it smells. There's a lot going for it, but truth be told, if like I wouldn't buy a Finding Ferdinand gloss in another shade, it wouldn't be worth it to me. And like obviously Kackie did send this to me. Like I was lucky enough to get this in PR. Buying it would have been great, but like it's not my favorite lip gloss formula. Like I would go with the Candy Glaze or the Victoria Beckham, but only buy the Victoria Beckham if you wear the same lip gloss all the time, and then that will be worth it to you. The Candy Glaze, I mean, I don't know. I've only had the Candy Glaze for a bit, but I imagine they're going to hold up longer. Just based on like YSL not considering itself a clean brand. Again, those are the claims of the brand, not me. Then I have 2 Pat McGrath lip glosses. I have Love Potion. I must have gotten rid of, I don't even remember getting rid of the other shades. Love Potion and Future Femme. Pat McGrath discontinued a lot of their lip glosses not that long ago, or like they keep, I don't know, it feels like they go away and then they come back. Now, before I had the Victoria Beckham lip glosses, this was my favorite lip gloss formula. I like these shades, and I think it makes sense for these to be the 2 that are left in my makeup collection because they are the best shades. They must not be too old because I have had Pat McGrath formulas that have like kind of separated, but these look still perfectly mixed. I really like this shade, the shade Love Potion with the Endless Cacao lip liner. It's a very nice cool tone lip. And then this also looks really good with the Endless Cacao lip liner. So they're great lip combos. You do get the White Ring of Death with these. So they're a little high maintenance when it comes to glosses. But Pat McGrath is Pat McGrath is one of the only brands that I feel like makes a really good shimmer gloss. Although I saw that Victoria Beckham kind of soft launched one as a gift with purchase. So we'll see if Victoria Beckham starts releasing shimmer lip glosses. I don't know if Victoria Beckham's going to release like these really cool duochromatic ones. Anyway, I'm keeping these, but I don't use them that often. So this is something that I could see myself decluttering in the summer, but I don't want to declutter just for the sake of decluttering because I have pulled these out in the last 6 months since my last declutter. So I think they're worth keeping around for longer. And then, surprise of the century, these About Face Cherry Pick Lip Butters are really great. I have the shade Nashi Pear and Peach Punisher. This is Peach Punisher. They're super high pigmented and very comfortable. I don't get the white ring with these, so they're a great lip gloss formula. The only thing about these that I have complaints about, which is not actually a complaint about the formula, is that I don't really like a lot of the shades they have. These were both sent to me by my friend Andromeda. I probably wouldn't have tried these otherwise, but I really like these. And I also get a lot of compliments on this. Whenever I'm wearing these on my lips in videos, a lot of people ask what they are. I do think that's a combination of things. It's my lips are very big, and so lip product just looks good on my lips, and that's like not to brag, but it kind of is to brag. I hope that they do like a more neutral line, and I feel like they just launched like a neutral line of their like eyeshadows, so maybe that's something that they would do down the line with these, because really great formula. I just wish that they had a shade that I wanted to wear every day instead of shades that I feel like I have to go out of my way to do a makeup look to wear, and that's how I feel about them. And I'm just into a glossy lip these days, so it makes sense. It makes sense. Then I have this from Isamaya. This is the Isamaya Lip Lac, and I have the shade Metal. I like this a lot. This color, I like the concept of this quite a bit. I like that it's a plumper. I like that it's like sheer. Mine's a little bit pink. I tried using this as a topper. It didn't go well, and it stained the doe foot. That'll go away eventually, but it's like not the most noticeable thing. I really like this. It doesn't last very long, and that's my big problem with it. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to keep it, but I don't recommend it. Like, I like it for the effect that it has. And if anyone knows a formula, because I thought about buying the black one, and I know I have been recommended the lip oil or something from Ritual Defeat, even though it doesn't have the sparkle in it, it gives that black effect, that sheer black effect. So I might try that. But if anyone knows of something that's really similar to this in a better formula, I would like it, because I get the white ring very quickly. It doesn't really wear off, and then it's like the more you apply it, the more likely that white ring is to happen. I don't think it's a $40 formula. If this was $20, I would recommend it to you, but $40 I wouldn't. But it's really pretty. I'm glad I have it. I just don't think it's a very good lip formula. I just think it's a very cool looking formula. I set this aside earlier. This is that Oma shade, and I wanted to swatch it next to the Candy Glazes. So it is much cooler toned than Scenic Brown. I'm not going to pick it over the Candy Glazes, and it's kind of a similar thing. If more of the shimmer picked up in this whenever you applied it, maybe it would feel a little more special, but it just doesn't whenever you look at it next to some of these other glossy formulas I have. I have 4 liquid lips here. Let's start with the Sugar Pill one. This is the shade Dropout. So the thing with Sugar Pill lipsticks, and this is not my first Sugar Pill lipstick, is I feel like they work really great for a while, and then I start not enjoying the formula after a certain while. I'm going to declutter this. It is old, and it doesn't feel like it's gone off, but it's certainly not applying to my lips the way that it used to. It still smells fine, but I have had other liquid lipsticks from them. I had the one that they did in collaboration with Kimchi, which was like this lavender. It was really pretty, but I felt like it dried out really quickly. This has lasted much longer than that. I really like this dark green, this murky green shade. And while it has the shimmer in it, I don't need the shimmer. So if anyone knows of like a liquid lip or any kind of lipstick that comes in this particular green, let me know, because I would like to try it out. But I'm going to declutter this. I just think it needs to be thrown away. It's just old and not applying the same. Then from Unearthly, I have the shade Kalina. First of all, their component is really pretty cool. And I tried this whenever there was a mono scare in my house. One thing I'll say about Unearthly's lipstick formula, because I had another one, but I didn't put it on my lips, is that that's a very baby poop shade. And I love baby poop lipstick shades. It wore like a regular liquid lipstick to me. And I have browns in a regular lipstick formula, which is my preferred formula over a liquid lip. I'm going to reach for those. But if you are having trouble finding like unique grungy shades, I would check out Unearthly. I think that you will find something there for sure, especially if you don't want to go the super luxe route of like going through the Gucci lipsticks and swatching all of those to see like which nuanced shades you'd like. Unearthly is going to have those weird murky shades for you right out the bat. It's not going to be like a scavenger hunt for that. So I would check those out. But for me, unfortunately, I just know I'm not going to use this lipstick. I'm going to give it to Tiff. And I feel like they are going to use it. And then I have 2 Kaleidos shades. I have the shade Golden Rosin, the shade Golden, nope, something Echo. I always try to combine the two. Echo Valley. Okay, here's the deal. When you look at that swatch of Golden Echo, it looks so grungy and cool and weird and gross and yucky, and I love that. However, on my lips, it looks just like Givenchy Brick. And I like the Givenchy Brick formula better than this. I'm not saying that this is a bad formula. I'm just going to wear Brick over this. And because I want it to look like this on my lips and it doesn't, it just disappoints me. And so whenever I go through my lipsticks and I pull this out, I'm like, I don't want to wear that because it's just not going to look, because like if I'm doing something super grungy and I want it to be that way and I put this on and it's not that, it's not this, then I don't want it. So I'm going to declutter that shade. And then I'm going to keep Echo Valley. It's very, very good. I love this cool toned brown. And this definitely has like a cool toned pinkiness to it that I feel like none of my other regular lipsticks have. And I really like this formula. And oftentimes if I'm going out for the night to like drink or whatever, this will be the lipstick I choose because it is a little more long wearing. But what's great about these is they're very, very comfortable while being long lasting. And I don't feel like they make my lips look crusty and dusty. You still have to do like, you know, a fair amount of lip prep for these to like do their best work, but still, honestly, I really, really like it. I would buy other shades of this. The only thing about Kaleidos is you're buying online, so you don't know. So like, if it would have been nice to have like known how I feel about this before I buy it. I'll also say this, in case you didn't know. Urban Outfitters seemingly sells Kaleidos through their website. During Black Friday, I saw that they had Kaleidos 50% off. By the nature of what I do here, I'm not sharing whenever I find sales because I don't want you to ever feel like you have to rush to purchase anything, which is why I didn't share, but I did see it, so I want to pass along that information. I don't know if they sell it Kaleidos in stores, and I'm not sure what Urban Outfitters like return policy is on makeup, but at least you could buy it in America, and then if you open it and you don't like the shade and you can return it, then you would be able to do that. Whereas like when you're buying from Kaleidos, it's shipping from China, which is not a bad thing, by the way. I'm not trying to say that Chinese makeup is worse or makeup made in China is worse or whatever. I'm just saying that it takes a while to get to you. It doesn't take a super long time because I did buy mine from Kaleidos' website, but like I just know how people love a convenience. So if you need that convenience, look for Kaleidos on Urban Outfitters. And then finally, I have this matte lip paint lip color from About Face. This was sent to me by Andromeda, who I think they get PR from About Face because every now and then they'll offer to send me some stuff that they don't want. And it's like, there's a lot of About Face. I have some stuff from About Face coming to me from Andromeda as we speak. Well, it might be here by the time you see this video, but they sent me the dupe for the Smoky Eye Baton. So I'm very interested in that. This in the container looks like a beautiful dark red. And then when you swipe it, it's Ruby Woo. I mean, it's a blue red. I say it's Ruby Woo because like that's a good touch point, but it's Elson from Pat McGrath. I put this on my lips once. I was trying to do it for Christmas and I hated the way it looked. It's not the color salt. I just didn't like the way it looked with my other makeup. And I don't have a blue red. Now, where is that other one? I have another red. This is from Hourglass. This is their Red Zero, and this is like a neutral red. Honestly, if I'm going to reach for a red, it is going to be the Hourglass one, so I'm going to just hold on to that one. But it is a stupid component because it doesn't want to stay in. Okay, and then I haven't really given this a fair shot. I feel like I should. Again, it's one of those things where like it was a color passed on to me, and so it's just like, it's just not a color I wear often. And so what I need to do is put it on my lips first and construct a look around it, kind of a la Kackie, because it's just, I have these beautiful, bold lipsticks, which is why I wear a lot of brown, because a lot of times I start with my eyeshadow and then I'll do something crazy, cuckoo, and fun, which is like not often, but like I wear a lot of purples. So like for me to end on a red lipstick is just probably not going to happen. There's another lipstick. This is She's Hard to Get from Patrick Ta. Sorry, there's makeup on my vanity currently. I think that's all okay. And it's a beautiful hot pink. And I'll be keeping that as well. A lot of people think this is red. It's hot pink. It's hot pink. I don't know why it reads the red on camera, but here it is next to two reds, and you can see that it is hot pink. So I'll keep that one too. But yeah, a lot of times I want to wear these lipsticks and then I forget that I want to wear them. And then by the time I've done my whole look, I'm like, well, that's not going to look good with the makeup that I just did. Then I have to call it what it is and move along. But anyway, there's that. So let me show you what I'm decluttering from this drawer. 9 products going away from this drawer. I feel like with myself and lip products and complexion products, I've done a very good job keeping it to what I love. Like I have one excess complexion product in my opinion. And then some of these lip products have just gone off because I didn't use them and are just going away because I don't use them. I feel like I try not to have too much lip product. I don't get excited about lip product. I'm not one of those people. I know some people get really excited about lip products. So this doesn't feel like an excessive category to me anyway, because even when you look at my lip, when you look at the container of lip products, this is how much I'm using of this very long container. And I really don't ever want to have this full, but I already own this. Like, sometimes I think if I had like a laser, I would like cut it off like right here in the halfway mark. And I could have bought a smaller one, but when I bought this, I was like, I'm gonna be a beauty guru who wants all of the lip product. And that's just not my nature. And like, maybe one day I will be into super into lips because, you know, our preferences always change. So I have space to grow if I ever want it, but I highly doubt it. So like having 5, 10, 15, 20-ish lipsticks feels okay to me. And you're allowed to have as many lipsticks as you want. That's not to shame anyone. It's the next drawer. The next drawer is the drawer. It's going to be tough because I want to be pretty ruthless in the next drawer because that drawer is full and it is cheek products. So wish me luck. I'll see you in just a second with all of that. So as I said before, this is going to be the drawer I need to do the most decluttering in for me and my mental capacity as far as things go. I feel like I tried the most cheek products this year out of anything else. Now, I certainly have tried a lot of eyeshadows this year too, but I think this is the section that has gotten the biggest this year. And the reason I want to declutter as much as I can from this part of my drawer is because whenever I have these two in my drawer, some of it gets lost in the back. So as far as the drawer will open, some of these products are behind where I can see them, and that is not good. I want all my products to be where I can see them. Now, one could argue that I could get a different system going in my drawers, and that would allow me some free space. But the reality of the situation is a lot of this isn't getting loved on or getting used. And I would like for it to find a home where it will. We're going to go bronzers, blushes, and then highlights because highlights are glittery. They get everywhere. So let me get all of my bronzers out and we will take a look at them. Here are all of my bronzers. I'm just going to open them up and we're going to take a look at them. I didn't really delineate between creams and powders. They're all here. I kind of think of them all the same. I don't have issues like going between cream and powder, but this is a lot of bronzer. Just knowing my personal history with bronzer is that it takes me a long time to get through. Not only that, a lot of beautiful bronzers have been released, and I assume that next year even more beautiful bronzers will get released. I don't know how many I'm going to end up with, but I do know I want to get rid of as many as I can. So let me just open these. There are two that I know that are not up for debate and are staying in my collection. The first one being the Gucci bronzer. This was sent to me by Nicole. Again, her name is Majestic Beast Beauty on Instagram. And I don't know what she didn't like about it, but I'm really happy she sent it to me because I have been using this bronzer like non-stop since she passed it on to me. For a fair skin tone, this bronzer really does the trick. It has a nice rosiness to it, but it is just barely different than my skin tone, and it warms up my face just so, and it's perfect. And it's not even like my favorite of the powder formulas here, but it is a very nice powder formula. It's the color that Gucci got really, really right. And I do see a lot of other people who really like this bronzer because of the nuanced shades. Again, sometimes Gucci gets it so right with their shades, and then sometimes they're so wrong. Look at their foundations. Those undertones are crazy. But the bronzer, whoever formulated this, the color of this, did a really, really great job. Gonna hold on to that one. And then the other one that's certainly not leaving is this one from Phytosurgeons. Now, these don't swatch the best, and the owner says you should not swatch them with your finger, but guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna try to swatch it with the finger. Like, I like this for the same reason I like the Gucci bronzer. Now, this formula is a little bit weird, a little bit interesting, there's a bit of a learning curve. You just need a really dense brush It's not super creamy like the Chanel one is, or like other cream bronzers. You need something very stiff in there to work the product, to warm it up, to be able to get the product on your face. But this is even rosier, and I feel like it is that same application of like, it's not super different from my skin tone as it is, but it is incredibly beautiful and nuanced. So we'll keep that one. All right, okay. I think the first thing I'd like to do is swatch these two next to each other. This is from Surratt, and it is in the shade Soleil Dew. And they released 2 bronzer shades this year, which was not great. And I remember when I was reviewing the Phytosurgeons bronzers, because I had gotten the bronzer from Surratt a little bit before I got the one from Phytosurgeons, the ones from Phytosurgeons. And this is, as promised, it is very hard to get a swatch going. The first time you open them, they're super, super creamy, but like this is just how the product goes. They are creams, but they're like kind of like a balm. And so you have to like get them really warmed up. They're just really, really hard to swatch. But these two were very, very similar in tone. Now, when I was able to build them up more in my initial video, I think they looked a lot closer. I think I'm going to depart with this one. This is the Golden Warm shade, shade 3 from Phytosurgeons. I reach for Rosy Daybreak way more than I reach for Golden Daybreak. And if I'm going to reach for this tone, I want to keep the Surratt one. The Surratt bronzer formula is really, really beautiful. It is really, really beautiful. They're both good. However, it's like I already have one of this formula. I don't have, if I got rid of this, I wouldn't have any of the Surratt bronzers, but I don't need the Surratt bronzer. But I do reach for this over this one too. Like I have actively reached for this since I got it. And I have a couple times reached for this, but not as many times as I reached for this. So we'll keep that, and then we're going to declutter that. I just need you to know, sorry, quick aside. My friend Ananda, I already talked about her in this video. She sent me 2 Olivia Palermo palettes. I don't know how expensive these are. She said she got them on sale. She bought extras, sent 2 my way. They're so heavy. I can't wait to play with them. Like I got them today. Here we are with the 3 that I like don't know what I'm gonna do with. So let me swatch them all. I still have lipstick swatches from this morning, so I apologize. It's now, when did I start filming this? It's 2:30 in the afternoon. I'll try to swatch the later one, but it I don't know. It's not really a shade. Chanel, the Tom Ford, and then the Victoria Beckham. I don't have anything like the Chanel bronzer, and I do reach for it occasionally, especially, and not that this is a difficult formula to work with, but when I want like a traditional cream bronzer experience, I always reach for this one. So I think I am going to keep it. And I do use this shade a lot more in the summertime, and especially when I'm doing warm looks. I just like the way it warms up my cheek. Now, I obviously don't apply it that densely when it's on my skin because that's dark. It's a little bit too dark for my skin. So, but I'm going to keep it. I like the undertone of it. So here's my arguments for and against these. The Tom Ford bronzer is like the first neutralish bronzer that I ever purchased. But now looking at it up against my current favorites, it's not actually super orange, but it is orange compared to what I've been wearing more recently. Even the more warmer tones of the Surratt bronzer and even like the Phytosurgeons bronzer that I just decluttered, it's a lot more orange than those. And then the Victoria Beckham is like a little more peachy, but it still has some of that like pinkness to it. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the Victoria Beckham. And I'll explain why. I use this shade to blend things out all the time, like to save myself. Like underneath your eyes, it's something that Kackie does a lot on her channel, and then I just started doing because I watch Kackie do it. And it does really work beautifully for that. And not only that, it is a really beautiful bronzer for the winter, but I also think that Rosy Daybreak and the Gucci bronzer serve a very similar purpose when it comes to like a wintertime bronzer, but this is really, really subtle. Like if you like a bronzer, then I don't think the Victoria Beckham's the way to go. But this compact always allures me. When I see it in my drawer, I'm happy to see it. So I'm going to keep this. I'm going to declutter the Tom Ford bronzer. And I have the big one, and I have loved this for the past couple of years. Since I got it, it's been my go-to bronzer. And I don't think it's a bad formula. I actually really still like it. It languishes in my collection for a number of reasons. It doesn't fit in here. And so what happens is it gets pushed to the back of the drawer. And then recently I was wearing this bronzer because I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it. Like, I just started really wearing stuff that I haven't worn in some time. I wanted to wear it before I did this declutter. And when I put it on, it felt orange compared to the bronzers that I have been loving more recently. And my thought was, oh, I could wear this in the summertime, but I also have the Chanel bronzer to wear in the summertime when I want more bronze. And I also have the Surratt one that I can wear in the summertime, which is more bronze. So I think I am going to let this go. I'm going to let this go. I think Tiff will snatch this right out of my hands and put it in their makeup collection. But someone can take this from me and use it on up. And I hope they do, because you can't buy the compact in that size anymore. So I guess I only got rid of 2 bronzers, which I wish I don't know. I think I still feel happy with this. We'll see whenever it comes to my mid-year declutter, when I check in the middle of the year. If I want to declutter anything, we'll see how I feel. But I'm okay with 2 going. And then I have 5 still. I do use them all differently. I would say that the biggest argument here would be like these 2. Now, they're not the most similar in color, really, but I think of them the same in my brain. But I do think I like this bronzer more than I like this bronzer. But if I pull this out, sometimes I just throw that on my cheek. It's getting used in my collection, so I think that's okay. Like, I have shuffled through these 5 bronzers in the last 6 months. I have like touched them all. It never felt like a chore like it did whenever I was using the Tom Ford one. It was like, I have to make myself use that one. So I think that's a good sign. So I'm going to stick with the 5. I might change my mind later. We'll see. We'll see. But 5 feels okay. All right, I'm going to wipe off my arm and then we'll get to blushes. What I'm going to do is just like, oh my God, I missed another one. Okay, I think now. Double check. Oh, yeah, I have them all now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up all the compacts that I can, and there are a couple things that I can't open up, just so we can get a look at the variety of shades I have. I think that will be helpful whenever I'm making decisions and I'm looking at something and I'm unsure. So I think before we get too far into this, I think we need to be very well aware that my blush preferences have changed quite a bit since the start of the year. I would say the start of the year is more reflected in the orangey tones you see, and then the latter half of this year is more reflective of like all of the beigey sameness that you see. So I think what I want to do is start with one that I know I'm going to declutter, and I think that's going to be helpful to get the ball rolling. And I'm going to declutter this. This is Dream Walk from Kaleidos, and this is that like bright bubblegum pink that was really trendy there for a while. And I'm getting rid of this because I have another pink blush shade that I like a lot more, and it is Barba Papa. They are not at all the same thing. Barba Papa has a blue sheen to it. It's really, really beautiful. And if I'm going to reach for this sort of thing, I'm going to reach for Surratt's Barba Papa. So I'm ready to part ways with this. I really like this formula. I would recommend this formula because I do think that they have some cool shades. I don't know what Kaleidos is doing. I feel like a lot of people don't know what Kaleidos is doing right now. But if you were looking at the blushes, I can recommend them to you. The packaging is gorgeous. It's nice. It's a very luxe feeling for what it is, and that's really great. And so I really applaud Kaleidos. Really have enjoyed having this. I did use it a lot the first half of the year when I was doing the brand review and even a little bit beyond. But then once Barba Papa came in, it was like all bets were off, and I have not reached for this since my last declutter. So it has to go. So obviously we have this palette. Now with Surratt, just in case you aren't aware, you can buy these individually, but they don't really come in like a compact. So you could buy 3 or 2 and buy one of their compacts with it. So on my center finger, this is the shade Gui Mauve. And then this is the shade Classique. And I think we're gonna do something with the Surratt blushes. I might have to do it off camera because I don't have anything to poke these out. So let me swatch the orange ones. This is Peau de Pêche. This is Cantaloupe. And this is Brilliant IDA, which I think this orange shade, the bottom one, is getting discontinued. It was in their clearance section last time I checked. So if it's still there and you're into like this, if you have a deep skin tone, that shade of orange is going to be really, really beautiful. But I don't too much reach in here for any shades except for Peau de Pêche, which is my favorite of them. And in the pink palette, I use Guimauve and I use Barbapapa, but I don't really use Classique. So I think what I want to do is move Peau de Pêche into here and then move Classique into here and then just give these 3 blushes to someone. And then I have the 3 that I like. Now, I would absolutely buy more Surratt blushes, and if they ever offer to send me more, I'm going to take them up on it because I think these are the most beautiful powder blushes I've ever used. It's like absolutely my favorite powder blush formula that I've ever tried. And I would also buy more, but like, you know, I'm happy with 3. And I think the 3 that I have are very beautiful, but they definitely have some other shades I would really like to check out. So that's what I'm going to do is that. So the only thing about them is that like each blush is pretty expensive and then these compacts are expensive. So that's just something to consider if you're getting into it. But if you are someone who is willing to put magnets on the back of them, I would do that. These are stickered into here. And that's what I would recommend. So if you're not like a packaging snob and you could just enjoy the blush for what it is and put it in your own magnetic palette, I would do that with these as opposed to going with their packaging route. If I wasn't on YouTube and I wasn't reviewing the brand, I think that's what I would have done. But since I have the compacts, I'm going to use them. And the compacts are really nice. I just wish they were magnetic because I would like love to buy more of these compacts and put more things in them. But it is what it is. So we are going to put those aside because those need rearranged. And I've been thinking about doing that for a while now. Let's just talk about the other Surratt blushes. These are the Artistic Liquid blushes. I have the shade Barbapapa, and I took the sponges off of them. And I also have Cantaloupe. And you may be aware or remember like from 5 seconds ago that I didn't like the shade Cantaloupe in the powder. Well, there's a little bit of a flip-flop that happens here. I like Cantaloupe more than I like Barbapapa in the liquid formula. Barbapapa in the liquid formula versus Barbapapa in the powder formula. This is more like a silver sheen, whereas this is more of a blue sheen in the powder. But I still like both of these. I'm going to keep both of them. It's a really cool formula. They're almost like watercolors. That's how they kind of go on the cheek. And I really am into that. So I am going to hold on to both of those. And I think about them all the time. So they're really at the forefront of my mind. All right. I think to get things out of the way, I'm going to move into stuff that I know for sure I'm keeping. And I'm going to leave some stuff to talk about and wax poetic about. So I think I'd like to do like my beige blushes next. My beigey blushes. Or like, you know, soft pinks. Okay, so I just kind of brought them all down here to take a look at together. I'm going to start with Kiss of Pink. Now, this was sent to me very kindly by a subscriber, and I still think this formula is really beautiful, but I think I am going to let this one go. It's too basic for what my preferences are, and it's not the most basic shade, and it's not even super pink. And that's what I like about it. It does kind of have that beigey quality. But whenever you look at all these other beiges that it has to compete with, it's just not what I'm thinking of. And I think I can find this a better home than with me, which I think would be better for all parties, me and the blush. Then Kira Weiss Inner Glow is not going anywhere. I just hit pan. Swatching this, I hit pan. Can you see that? I knew I was close. That's exciting. If you look at all of my blushes, even my cream blushes, that is the furthest along I am in any of my blushes because that's how often I use it. It's just the perfect blush. Is it a blush? Look at it. It's a weird color. And I've described it many times. It's like this warm beige with a silver sheen, and it just works. Like, it's just incredibly pretty and incredibly unique. So recently I had a subscriber who kept it in the cardboard packaging, said that theirs dried up fast. Mine's still what I remember it being whenever I first got it, very creamy. So that's something to be aware of. I don't know how this could be any more airtight than the cardboard packaging. I guess it does kind of clasp at the end. I don't know. This packaging is really super luxe and super heavy, but like it is a little bit weird because it does like the twist off, but it is really cool. All right, Mimi, I'm going to keep from West Atelier. It's beige, but it's a warm beige, and it's different than my other beiges, okay? But I really like this formula, and I'm hoping, because I hadn't used it that much this year, that getting some more blushes out of the way is going to be helpful in getting me back into this. And that's my hopes and dreams. Then I have the two beiges from Kackie's collection with Fighting Ferdinand. I did declutter the shades that I wasn't really using after I initially got them. So I have the shade Latte and the shade Olay. And I have the shade Macchiato. And I probably would use Macchiato if it was in my collection, but I just don't think I would use it as much as these two because they're like a very easy cheek combo. And so they like live in this beige family. I would say that Kiss of Pink is pretty close to Olay or Latte. But I really like this formula. It's pretty weird. I watched Monica Bell whenever we all got these in PR. She described it as like a dry oil, and that's exactly how it feels. It's not like a learning curve that's hard to use. It's just like a learning curve that like I have never worked with a formula like this before. This is a really easy 1-2 punch on the cheek. I keep Olay a little further back on my cheek, and then I will put Latte closer to the front. And it's really beautiful. So I'm going to be keeping both of those. And then we have these two, which both happen to be from my friend Ananda, who is the best, truly the best, medium olive on Instagram. She sent me Heliotrope from Rose Inc. And I feel like I'm still getting to know this shade because it's really pretty. It is really pretty. It just is really pretty. It's a good formula. I kept it in my testing drawer and then I moved it into my permanent drawer. I still think I need more time with this. However, if by the end I feel like I have too many blushes, like if I want to get rid of more, then I would consider decluttering it. But I still feel like it's too new to call on that one. And then Ananda sent me this. This is a discontinued Chanel powder blush. It's in the shade Ombre, I believe. And it is this beautiful brown. Is that blush? You might disagree, but I love it as a blush. It's a nice like camel, which is like, is that blush? I don't know. But all I know is that I'm happy to have it, and I know they don't sell this anymore, and I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it. Not just exclusively because they don't sell it anymore. It's just not the same as any of my other blushes. But what it might be closer to is the next thing I would like to discuss, which are these two blushes here. Now, this is like from Chantecaille. It's like an everything product. It's an eyeshadow. It's a bronzer. But I wear it mostly as a blush. I also have Desert Orchid from Pat McGrath here. Now, in my head, these are the same kind of thing. Now, they're not the exact same shades. They are different for sure, but they serve a similar purpose in my mind. So there's the one from Chantecaille. Now, because it is also an eyeshadow, it swatches much stronger, but when I wear it as a blush, I obviously don't apply that much of it. When I'm thinking of Desert Orchid, I always then go for Chantecaille's Ray. This is the Sunbeam Cheek and Eye shade in Ray. And this was like a limited edition thing they did last summer. And it's like one of my favorite cheek products. And I'm going to get rid of Desert Orchid. And this was my favorite blush shade for a while. It's one of those blushes that like, it doesn't look like much and it gives you a je ne sais quoi. But this is like je ne sais quoi times like 7. And this actually pulls a little bit rosy on me, the Chantecaille shade. And the one from Pat McGrath, Desert Orchid, does give me a little bit of like an orange lean, but it has this beautiful sheen to it. It's a very magical cheek product, but I never reach for this anymore. And because I have Ray. And I would have thought if I was keeping any of my Pat McGrath shades, it would be this one. But I actually don't think I'm keeping any of my Pat McGrath shades. Which leads us to, what is this one called? Electric Bloom, which I have a couple corals here, so I guess we'll just kind of like get into the corals of it all. I have Dior Rosy Glow in shade 004, and this is the original formulation. They released new shades of this, and I've heard that the new shades are not as good. Like the formulation changed, and Dior has been reformulating a lot of stuff, so I guess that's to be expected. I assume that this one has talc in it, and if you're trying to avoid talc, then sure. But I've just heard that the new ones aren't as good. And then we obviously have Electric Bloom, and then we have from Kackie, this is the Paloma shade from Kackie and Fighting Ferdinand. And so here we go. This is the Dior, Pat McGrath, and Paloma. The Electric Bloom shade, it is, you know, arguably too deep for me. But I never reach for it because I just don't wear a lot of coral. So I think the smartest thing to do is to at least declutter one. And Pat McGrath is definitely going to be the first to go. So I'm going to get rid of that one. And then I have these two. And this is kind of like the liquid version of this. This is in my collection. I bought the House Labs Peach shade. I forget what it's called. But I had that and I did like it. But this ultimately was more blurring on the cheek, which I appreciate. I love a blur. If you know I love a blur. So that's why this one was kept around. But I also feel like this one's a little more adaptable. I never really reach for any of these because it's not a shade I really reach for. And my thinking here is the Dior will last longer because it is a powder. And when I want to reach for this kind of thing, I can reach for the powder. And Kackie did a really beautiful job with Paloma. This will likely go off faster than the Dior. I know it's really faint on my arm here, but it's like if I really built this up, it would be a lot like this shade. And I'm trying really hard not to have too much. And I know Kackie knows what I do over here. I don't think she's going to be offended. But I think I'm going to keep the Dior. And I have the good formula of the Dior. All of that, all things being said, I have the good version. And I told someone if I was going to get rid of some of these shades that I was going to send this to them. I'm just going to send this to her. Like, I think it's going to get better use in her collection than it would be in mine. And then I will keep the Dior as my coral blush. This is like the last two remaining blushes from my orange blush obsession that I had a couple years ago. I was buying so many orange blushes. So this is from Phytosurgeons. This is their Skin Spark and Smolder. And then I also have Kiss of Copper from Bare Minerals. Now, obviously there's a cream versus a powder here. And when you blend out Smolder, it becomes much more of like a orange as opposed to being that terracotta shade. Both are really beautiful. And I still love orange blush as a concept. I think the smart thing for me to do is to part with Smolder. This is an older cream blush, so I will see if Tiff will take it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, anything wrong with the formula. It's just older, and I don't want to give this to someone, crusty old formula to someone. It's not crusty, but when I think of an orange blush, I do reach for Kiss of Copper over Smolder. And considering I'm not really wearing orange blush too much anymore, kind of like with the corals, that debate I just had about the corals, I think it's smarter for me to keep the powder one whenever I do want to dig into this, because this is going to go off, slower than the cream one. It's still really pretty, and this is still my favorite blush formula. I don't think that this shade of this blush is serving me anymore. So we're going to hold on to Kiss of Copper. Okay, and then we kind of have like just an interesting slew of shades here. So we have some Phytosurgeons blushes, and I have Exothermic. Now this one feels a little bit different. I feel like every time I go into Exothermic, I always pick up way too much of it. So it's this like kind of raisiny brown shade, and then Evaporate, which is like my new favorite. And I think that's kind of like a peachy brown. And then we have Condensate, which is this very cool, I don't know if I should call it pink or what, but it is my favorite shade of blush. I love all three of these, and I like them because they are so nuanced, even compared to Smolder, which none of these are really like close to the same shade, maybe except for Evaporate. It's kind of close to Smolder, but these toasted blushes are really where it's at when it comes to Phytosurgeons. Like, these are beautiful, interesting, unique shades. I'm going to keep all three of them. The shade Exothermic is definitely the shade I'll probably be using the least out of them, but it is still really gorge. And I'm glad that even though I got rid of one, I got to keep three. And, these are going to be really much more loved on without that as a distraction. I think sometimes, you just have a lot of stuff. Sometimes, like, having excess feels like a distraction. And then I have these two, which are kind of same vibes, similar vibes when it comes to shades. This is the Pillow Talk Matte Beauty Blush Wand in the shade Pillow Talk. And what I need Charlotte Tilbury to do is just make every shade of Pillow Talk this. Look at this next to the shades from Phytosurgeons. It's beautiful. It's well thought out. It's nuanced. It has this gray to it. And it looks so good on my cheeks. It's so pretty. And it reads like, it's not really like cool toned. I feel like it reads neutral, at least on me. It's really, really stunning. I hate that this product is so good. Like, I really hate that this product is so good, but I'm happy to have it. And then we have this, the the elusive Chanel Equinox de Chanel shade in beige rose mauve. But what this really is, it's very similar to condensate in the way where you like put it on your cheek. Like you look at that and you're like, what's going on there? Is that going to look good? And then you put it on your cheek and it looks so good. It's so pretty. It's so stunning. It's so good. It's so good. Now, I don't know that Chanel has like the best blush formula, but again, it's like one of those like really nuanced shades. You can see like we went from the beiges to this, and like that's really what I'm into. I'm either into something that is like, what is that color? What is that color? Which I feel like this group of shades is. And then we had all those beiges, which is like, I can throw that on. It's not that the things that look like my skin tone, I can throw that on and it doesn't really matter. But I really appreciate this kind of thing. So there's that. Okay, let's count the blushes I'm getting rid of. I feel like I'm still keeping a lot of blushes. Oh, and I'm going to get rid of, after I do the switcheroo, I will get rid of one of these compacts too. So I'm getting rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm getting rid of 9 blushes. Now, this wasn't 9 compacts, but it's still 9. And let's talk about highlighter. I think this used to be my largest category was highlighters, and I've pared it down quite a bit. Okay, let's do what I've been doing with the other categories and just open things up and talk about them. They are a lot more similar looking than they've ever been. Like they're all very similar concepts. Oh, I mean, this one's see-through. But there is one thing I know I want to get rid of, and it's this. This is the Makeup Forever Pro Glow in the shade 1 Rosé. And it actually is really, really pretty. There are some like micro glitters in here, but it is really, really pretty. But the reason I'm getting rid of this is that it reminds me a lot of this, which is the Torch Lumiere in Diamante from Surratt. And if I'm going to reach for any of them, I'm going to reach for the one from Surratt. This is a built-up highlight swatch, but on the cheek, it reads a lot more like that. Like if you blend it out, they look very similar. And the Torch Lumiere, which I did not like at first, by the way, and I think you should know that and keep that in mind when I first tried it. And then I fell in love with it over time. Oh my God. We also have this one. Oh my God, this one too. Oh boy. Tom. I think we have all of the highlighters now. Okay. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to keep the Surratt one. It's bae. It's bae. I think of my highlighter products, it's my favorite one. It's not the one I reach for the most, and we'll talk about that one in a second, but it is my fave. Decluttering Makeup Forever. There are going to be some hard cuts in this category. Let's talk about some ones I know I'm going to keep. This is from Ritual Defee. It's the shade Moon Pillar. It's in their Rare Light Luminizer formula, and it is this like iridescent purple. However, it still reads really beautiful and natural on the cheek. And that's one thing that I really like about Ritual Defee Rare Light Luminizers is that their sheen is like really super ethereal. And this could read really like childish and very 2016. And I just feel like they're more elevated than that. Like they have more nuance than that. I don't even know how good the highlight swatches are going to be in here, but I really, really like that. So I'm going to keep that. Along the same lines, but in the warm tone, is this. This is the shade Phosphine from Ritual Defee. It's the same formula. It's the Rare Light Luminizer. And it has like an orange to pink sheen. And when I do a warm tone look, I really like this one. So we will keep Phosphine as well. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see inside of here, but like both of these have fairly decent dips in them. So like that's a good sign of use. Well, let's just watch this one because I just dug my finger in it. I was trying to get my dog's hair out of it. This is the Fawn, and this is in the Metamorphic highlighter category from Ritual Defee, and there's like bigger chunks of shimmer in there, where the Rare Light Luminizer is just a glow. God, whenever you swatch them, they're so pretty. I don't use these that much. I don't use this one, and I also don't use the Chimera. Like, I think I just kind of moved away from this really strong highlight, but they are both really pretty. Chimera is definitely gonna go. You could see that it was very well loved, but I haven't used this in so long on my cheek. Like, I think that, like, in a couple more uses, this will hit pan. Like, I was using this all of the time. All of the time for a while. When I was doing, like, green looks and, like, really into that iridescent thing, I was using them all the time. But I just am not using them anymore. And again, I would love to give this a home. Like, this is such a special, beautiful highlight. I would love to give that to somebody as opposed to, like, holding on to it just because there was a time in my life where it was my favorite thing. The fawn I do occasionally throw on. I am going to get rid of the fawn too, I think. I am. No, I'm going to get rid of it. But what I will keep, and this is, I love this. This is the Alchemist, which has even bigger chunks than the Metamorphic highlighters. And this gives you, like, glass skin. But it is through large chunks of shimmer particle. And they sell this as a highlight for your highlight. If you can see it right there. And I love that. You can see how much pan I have. Now, I've cooled on this product for a while, but if I'm going to reach for any of the Metamorphic highlighters, it's going to be this one. Also, if you're feeling super the most, you can lay this down and then, you know, just use it as a highlight topper. So use Phosphine or Moon Pillar and then top it with this. Give a special effect. Any of my, like, liquid highlighters or cream highlighters, like, topping them with that is, like, so good. And, like, I love that kind of look for going out. Like, if we're going out to a nerd club and I really want, like, my makeup to pop, my cheek to pop, that's what that's for. It's perfect for that. Now, I'm going to start swatching in weird places because I don't feel like wiping off my arm anymore. This is from Pat McGrath. This is the Iridescent Pink 003 pigment. And here's the thing about this. This definitely has that, like, iridescent glow to it, but it looks really, really nice on the cheek. Very similar to the Rare Light Luminizers from Ritual Defeat. It has, like, that same sheen. And the shift on this is very similar to what the Fawn would give you, but in a more natural way. And if I'm going to wear anything like this, I think it needs to look more like this now. Not to say that I think that these are bad. It's just I'm not in the mood for them. Luckily, I think both of these shades are now site exclusive. They were limited edition when I first bought them, these shades from Ritual Defeat, but I do believe that they are permanent. And I don't think that Pat McGrath makes this shade anymore. Every time I wear this highlighter, I get asked about it. So I think that's also a good sign for it. And also, like, I don't want anyone to think that I'm just getting rid of Pat McGrath products to get rid of them. I have a very strong fondness for this. I really liked the Skin Fetish collection. The only reason I got rid of the stick is that it was creams and it was, like, time. But because I really love this from Ritual Defeat, the Alchemist, this is How Many Carats from Fenty. Now, there is an outer packaging to this that kept falling off, and I said, screw it, and I just took it all the way off. But this has much smaller, more refined chunks to it. It gives you a wet look. But I have found that I don't like this effect as much as I like the one from Ritual Defeat. Now, the thing is, on camera, it always looks like there's no shimmer particles in it. Like, it just looks blindingly reflective. And even now, hold on, maybe I was thinking about getting rid of this. But now I've swatched it. And it's the only one that I've swatched and gone, do I want to keep that? And this was a gift from Tiff. Now, I think they would understand and appreciate if I decided to get rid of it. I think I'm going to give this one more go because I have been thinking about decluttering this for a while. And so what I'm going to do is be very aware of my usage of it over the next couple of months up until July, you know, when I do my next declutter series. Or, you know, I don't do a series, I just do one. Because that looks really great. The thing is, I feel like when on my cheeks, it never looks like this. It just, all you get is all the shimmer particles built up, but no, I still like that. So, okay, let's not be too mean to myself. I haven't really lost my lust for a highlight. Maybe I just haven't been playing with all the right ones anymore. But I think I'm making the right decision by getting rid of the 2 Ritual Defeat ones. Okay, cool. I really thought I was gonna get rid of that, but it's okay. It's okay. We're not forcing anything. All right, let's talk about this. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Light Spotlight Wand. It's in the shade Spotlight. I'm not gonna lie to you. I use this all the time. I use this all the time. I took it to Vegas with me. I like it. I like it. I hate that I like it. I don't think you need it, but I would rebuy it. I don't know what it is about this that I keep coming back to it. It's a highlight I think a lot about, and for that, she gets to stay. She's earned her keep. She really has, and that's surprising and alarming to me because I just like, you know, me and Charlotte, we feel how we feel about each other. I'm definitely gonna keep this one. This is from Lunar Beauty. It's the shade Mars in their highlighter, and it has this like reddish peachy undertone. Now, you can really see that undertone in this like thick swatch of it, but I feel like on my cheek, I never really get to that opacity. And so I just think of it as a warm highlighter. When I apply it with a brush, I just don't feel like I get, you know, that. But I really, really like this formula. I think it's really, really beautiful and I like it. And a lot of the warm toned highlighters I feel like I have a lot of neutral highlighters, some with like a champagne, like a slight warm lean, but I don't have anything that warm. And whenever you really want to go warm, it's nice to have something. And also this packaging is like incredible. And then we're left with these two. This is from Rare Beauty. It's Enlightened Highlighter. And it's kind of like the powder versions of Diamante. And the thing is, I like it. I don't know. People really love this highlighter. And I think it is pretty, and I've gotten it to work for me, and I do like it. And then I also have this shade from Milk. They don't make this. This is the shade Lit. And if I'm being honest, since I've gotten some other... I don't know. Yeah, well, I don't know. Yeah, okay. I think I very rarely think about like whether or not you can still buy something if I have it. Like that's none of my business if you can't buy it. I have products that you're not gonna be able to buy sometimes. And I also might buy products that are out of your price range or hard for you to get in your country. Like that's just like the nature of things. But when I look at this, I put it on in that video where I did my makeup like I did in 2016. I felt like it looked too deep for me, but you could argue that the same thing about this shade from Lunar Beauty. So I am a little bit, I don't know. I still like this highlighter. And honestly, I like it more than the Rare Beauty one, but the Rare Beauty one is more modern. I think it's also good as a content creator to take that into consideration sometimes. I think what we're going to do, it's kind of like with the Fenty one, which just as I keep looking at it, I'm like, why the hell would I get rid of that? But I think just like with the Fenty one, I'm going to be on watch for the Milk one to see how much I use it. I do, you know, grab for it quite a bit, but I feel like when I think of the highlighters I use the most, it's the Rare Light Luminizers from Rachel Defee, the Torch Lumiere. Those are like the ones I keep reaching for. Oh, and the Charlotte Tilbury Spotlight one. I'll keep this one for now. I don't know. We'll see. I've reached for it a couple of times organically, but like, I think I keep waiting to figure out what everyone else loves about it so much. I think it's good. I don't think it's like the best thing. So am I only getting rid of 3 highlighters? I feel like I just got rid of so many highlighters. Did I only get rid of 3? Interesting. Okay, so here, let's see. Let me put all of the cheek products that I've decided to get rid of. Okay. All right, cool. Oh, and then I keep not including this, but that will also be. So these are all the cheek products I'm getting rid of. Let me reorganize my acrylic holders, and then I'll report back if anything else sings to me about needing to go. I kind of thought I was going to get rid of more. I did. This was like the drawer that I felt like I had the most to get rid of. And then I feel like I still got rid of a lot. Like it wasn't nothing, but I also feel like I could have done better. But like, what does better mean in the context of a declutter? Like, I like all of these blushes. I think about all these blushes. The bronzers, I just talked through about how I use all of them for different things. And I got rid of a couple. And the highlighters, I do use all of these highlighters. I do, except, you know, the Fenty one's on watch, this Milk one's on watch. I think we maybe need to do a Hannah Louise post-in project, a Hannah Louise post-in style project next year, especially with the highlighters and the bronzers. I think what I want to do is like an elimination diet, take things out, and then if I don't think about them after a while. So maybe that's something we'll start in the new year. But I think that's something to consider, but I think this is where we're going to leave it now, because my only thing that I think I could like really get rid of is this one, and I would like not feel any kind of way about getting rid of it, even though I really like it. We'll try that in the new year. Another project, another project. Okay, so I'm not going to film any more today, so hopefully the lipstick swatch, my arm is a little less orange, looks a little better when next time you see it. Eyeshadow palettes, I'm probably not going to swatch everything, but I will show you everything and talk you through everything. Stay tuned, meaning for a couple seconds, and we will be with the eyeshadows. Here are all of my eyeshadows, eyeshadow palettes. So this is everything that lives in that bottom drawer. And that these are my single shadows. I'm not going to go through them in this video. I have tried, and I've never posted, I have filmed single declutter videos, and I find them incredibly boring. But I do occasionally declutter singles off camera. I said this in my year-end favorites, but in case you didn't watch that video from me, these are the Adept Infinity Stacks, and I have found these to be so much more helpful for me to remember what my singles look like. I like this one from Anastasia. I can see, and the second I can't see what's in here, I don't know what's happening. I'm buying these like one palette at a time so that all of my single shadows can be in here. And I have quite a few, and they're all over my room. In fact, I just offered what I thought was an empty palette, magnetic palette, to Tiffany, and they opened it and they were like, "Did you know there are eyeshadows in here?" And I sure did it. So yeah, we're working on fixing my mindset around this. This is like a priority for me in 2024, is to really get through my singles. Now, I'll probably keep this one in here. These are single shadows that I tried out and I know how I feel about them. Some of them will get decluttered, but some of them might not. But these are all ones that I've done single shadow spotlights on my short form content. And then what I like to do is like review each shade in a long form video and be like, here's what I thought of this one, here's what I thought of this one, here's what I thought of this one. So yeah, not working on these today. I should have said at the top of this section, I did a lot of work getting rid of eyeshadow palettes I know I won't use throughout the course of this year. So they're not here at the end because that had its own kind of finale. If I can remember, I will try to link it in the cards for you. I did like a 2-part series. The first part was I hid all of my eyeshadow palettes from me, and then 3 months later, I pulled all the eyeshadow palettes back out and I talked about which ones I missed and I was keeping and which ones I was ready to get rid of. And I got rid of quite a few. So let's discuss these. I'm not getting rid of this one. If you weren't here earlier in the year or earlier on my channel, I've had a very fraught relationship with the brand Pat McGrath. I don't want to get into it here too much, but you can certainly find that content on my channel. I did a video where I took all of the shades that I actually liked from the motherships that I was willing to destroy and made my own all special shades palette, and I love it. And then just to make sure I knew it was mine and not hers, meaning not Pat McGrath's, I took some nail polish and I painted the top with holographic nail polish. It looks better in person, I feel like, than it does on camera, but I felt really good doing this. A lot of what I do on my channel is to break the spell of consumerism, and I think I used to be like a big fan of the brand Pat McGrath, and willingly destroying mothership palettes to make my own version of a mothership palette was a very freeing project for me. So I'm glad that I did it. And I have, guess what? I've used these shades so much more now that they're in this palette than I ever did when they were in their own mothership. Now, I didn't want to get rid of all of my motherships, and I talk a lot at length about the motherships that I had left going into the project. And I was like, I only really want to keep one because I still don't think I'm going to use it all that much. And the one that I know that I use the most is, unfortunately, Divine Rose 1, which is like a boring one. It's boring, and even the special shades aren't so special, but I always love the way my makeup looks when I do this because I am more a neutral person than I am, you know, anything else. So I think this is okay for me to keep because I wanted to keep one intact, and so I have this one, which is great. I think I already showed this palette in this video, and I unfortunately know for a fact at this point that I did not get the video with this sister up in a timely fashion. I'm keeping this. I love this palette. I think this is my favorite thing that Isabella has done so far. It's the first palette, and you know, it made me believe in the brand. And unfortunately, that did not really pan out for me either, because I think there would have been a lot of potential for me to end up standing this brand in the way that I stand Pat McGrath, because I just thought that they were doing something cool and unique and different. And I think they did that with this palette. And I like the funky textures in here, and I like the funky formulas in here. This is something that I reach for if I want to do like a very sultry, grungy little look. And for that, I appreciate it. And, you know, I thought I would be more bothered by this three-dimensional packaging, but it doesn't bother me, especially now that I have less eyeshadow palettes. It doesn't feel as much of a burden. But if you have a bunch of eyeshadow palettes and you like store them all like vertically and like up against each other, yeah, that's pretty annoying. But for me, it doesn't really matter. Okay, back to for more neutral Nelly stuff. So this is the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes palette, and this is from the original launch. It's not from this year's relaunch. I love this palette. I take it on trips with me. It's kind of the palette that it's my all around, like my palette. If I don't know what I want to do with my makeup, I will grab this palette. I use the mattes with other sparkly shades. I like the sparkly shades in here. The shadows are pretty soft, but that's okay with me because I'm not burning through eyeshadow. But if this was my everyday palette, I think that would bother me a lot more. I also like that Mario made this palette like heavier and nicer because it's like, it's clearly for consumers. It's not like under the guise of being like the makeup artist palette like he has those other two palettes. So I really like this, and I'm going to keep it. I really don't know that we're going to declutter anything. There's like maybe one. We'll bring out both of these because they are together. So I was just on Hindash's website and everything's sold out. So I don't know what's going on with them. Now, I think one time in passing, Kackie did say that Hindash is repackaging these, which will be cool, especially if he's going to make it more of a consumer brand, because the packaging's not luxe. But oh my god, I just licked my hand. You know why I'm so snotty? I was cleaning my room and there was a lot of dust. There's a lot of dust. So I have Beautopsy and I have Monochromance. I use these palettes all the time because my eyeshadow preferences have changed. I like to use palettes like this and work in other shimmers. These are like the perfect palette for that. And then also I just took the Monochromance palette to Vegas with me and I used it for eyeshadows and cheeks. So I use for blush and contour and bronzer. I used it for everything and it was perfect for that. And I could have taken either one, but I took this one because I was wearing some more colorful looks. So I wanted to take this one and have those colors as opposed to the more straight down the line neutral warms that we have in Beautopsy. I do want to try other things from Hindash, so I hope we see the brand return soon. I hope that doesn't mean we're at the end of Hindash's brand, because I really like these. And even if the brand does go away, don't think I'm gonna part ways with these anytime soon. They're some of my favorite palettes. This one was a little bit of a shocker. My friend Ananda sent me this year. This is the LH Cosmetics Aim Higher palette. And don't let this really shitty packaging fool you, because it is shitty packaging. And like, look at, that's where it says the name of the palette. And it doesn't even say it on top here. And then it says it on the back. And it's just a regular font. It's just a regular font. And then this is what the palette looks like on the inside. Really cool tones. I've been really into cool tones this year. And actually, I kept this palette over Mothership 1. Now, I got this while Mothership 1 was hiding, you know, and I had it in my Purgatory box. And I like LH Cosmetics' matte formulas so much more than I like Pat McGrath formulas. They are the exact kind of formulas that I like to work with. These are definitely like luxury eyeshadow formulas, but the packaging isn't super luxury, but I would absolutely buy an LH Cosmetics eyeshadow palette in the future. I haven't really gotten into the shimmers too much. I've been really loving these mattes over here. I have used this one all over my lid. It was really beautiful, but I want to get more into it as well. But I really, really was pleasantly surprised when I got to try this because of this packaging, I would never have bought it to try the formulas. But now that I've been given this as a gift, which is a great gift, LH Cosmetics would be a great brand to gift their products. I would love to try more. Like, I want the Shimmer Saga, but, you know, I don't need that right now. But I would love to try the Shimmer Saga. But This is really good. I'm interested in trying more from LH Cosmetics in the future. But I think we're gonna be like in a little bit of a low buy early next year. But I did buy a bunch of stuff from one brand to start reviewing in the new year. So I have that going. And I also was just gifted a bunch of beautiful makeup by some people. So I have that also to review. Should we do Natasha Denona? All right, let's start with the easy one. This is the gold palette. This is Natasha Denona at her best. This is Natasha Denona at a color story that is really up my alley. And I won't ever part ways with this. I love this eyeshadow palette so much. I like Sparks. I like Kava. Those are really great. I really like the undertones of the browns in here, and I love this mustard yellow. And I'm a big fan of greens, so these green golds over here and these two greens in here really work for me. The cream to matte formula is not my favorite. I don't think a lot of people really care for that formula, but I find use in them and I get use out of them. The shades that I probably use the least are these like bronzy shades over here. Like you can see, look at that shade. It's like I barely touched it, but then you see like big dips in the topper shades. It's a perfect palette for me. And whenever I talk about like always wanting to wear, what is this? What did we get on you? Gold palette. This was one of the palettes that I missed the most when I had it in Purgatory. Now, I never pulled it out because I really wanted to make it the 3 months, but this was the one I was happiest to have back whenever I did get all my eyeshadows back. I feel like I've been trying a lot of eyeshadows recently, and I think the way I've been thinking about eyeshadows by doing mattes and trying singles, I've just kind of like shifted to like wearing single shadows a bit more. But whenever I do want to reach for an eyeshadow palette, this is like the first thing that I think of. So we'll keep that. The Yucca palette. Okay, so this one's I like this palette actually quite a bit. I really like the shimmers in it, and that's like my favorite part. I think that Natasha's shimmer formula with these 4 shades over here is really, really good. I really, really enjoy those shimmers. The mattes are really, really good as well. It can be like a sister palette to the gold palette, but like this is a little lighter, a little more, like this is just like very, very olive, where this is like, I like the saturation of what's going on in the gold palette a little bit more. If you would have asked me, and I thought about this earlier, if you would have asked me when I bought this palette, I would have said a couple months ago when it launched, but it launched in the beginning of summer. And so I feel like I just haven't used this that much for something that I bought at the beginning of summer. And like I feel like I've used the shimmer shades a lot, but I haven't used the palette as a whole. I've been using the shimmers and wearing them with other eyeshadow palettes. I took 2 of these shades on vacation with me when I was in Vegas, along with Monochromance from Hindash, and did some cool looks with those as well. I don't know that this is a perfect palette. This is a palette that I could definitely see myself decluttering in the future. I think my review of it and the way I felt about it as I was talking about it in real time are still true. I also have shifted away from a lot of the green tones, like a very much the first half of the year and like most of last year, like this palette would have been perfect for me. And I do think that this was one of the more interesting color stories that Natasha Denona has done in a while, and it was done really successfully. I just haven't been wearing these kinds of colors. I want to give it some more time, but this is, yeah, like I said, I could see myself decluttering in the future. And then I have the Lila palette, which was sent to me by my friend Nicole, who is Majestic Beast Beauty on Instagram. I don't know about this one. I think it's not as like purple as you think it's going to be. So these 2 mattes pull very, very rusty. This one's fine. And then this is like nice and cool toned. So you have like the warmth and the coolness of it. I feel like I like these 3 right here, and I like this purple. And then I thought about busting them out as singles. But I don't know that I want to do that. I think this would be better in the arms of Tiff, because Tiff likes these colors a lot more than me, like these pinks and purples. In my ideal world, what I would do is like take these 3 right here, like these 3, and be like, those are mine, and then give the rest, but that's pointless. So I think I am going to actually declare this. I have so many Natasha Denona depotted shadows in my like singles collection. If I added these to that, I would still not use them. And I also have shimmers from like Pat McGrath in these shades that are in my singles collection that I've depotted. So like, I just don't think I need that. I'm not getting rid of this. This is the Viseart Grand Pro 1X. I don't know where this shadow is. It might be. So I think the 3 of these shades that are missing are in... I have this small Makeup Forever palette that I showed you in another drawer that is full of like creams and whites that I use to set my eyeshadow base. I think that's where those are. And I put those in there because like I will use those up. But I like having this palette because we have a lot of browns here, leaning cool, leaning neutral, light to deep. You have some colors to play with. It's a very good palette for what I do with makeup now. Like, this is a great thing to have as a companion. I can pop the shades out to build my own palettes, which is not something I like love doing that often, but I am going to do a strict, I tried to loosely do a no buy on eyeshadow this year, but I'm going to do a very strict no buy for eyeshadow in the upcoming year. We'll talk about that more in an upcoming video, but I think that we're going to see this palette get used a lot more. The only thing that I wish it did better is like it had some like grungier tones or like some more nuanced shades. But I think also that's the kind of point of this kind of thing too. And I have things I've depotted from Natasha Denona, mattes from Natasha Denona that have that. So I could use those in tandem with this. So yeah, this is just, it's not going anywhere. I love that. Finishing off, I think I'm the only person who likes this eyeshadow palette. I've used this definitely more times than I've used the Yucca palette, and I've had the Yucca palette for half a year, and I've had this for a month or two. So first of all, the 3 mattes, the formula on the 3 mattes on top is so good. And someone did tell me that they make, what are these mattes called? These future mattes. So there is an all matte like 6-pan of just the future mattes. I don't need that because I have obviously so many matte shades that are in these tones and in like brown tones. Like, I don't need another one of them. But you pulled out this palette to use those mattes. I didn't have as much issues with the shimmery shades in here as other people. I almost always use a shimmer, like a glitter glue, when I'm applying shimmers, especially if I'm trying to get the most longevity and the most sparkle out of them. So I didn't have issues with them. The only thing that I still don't care for is like these pull very warm. And I don't like wearing them with this silver. I'm not oft wearing silver eyeshadow, but I find that a little bit confusing. And then this matte, while it is called a future matte, does not work the same as these ones. It's like this weird, if they feel like cream matte eyeshadows, but like they're not. They pick up on any kind of brush I put in there. So I really like this. I like the exterior. I think you're going to see this get decluttered by a lot of people, but I really like it. And yeah, I've used it. It kind of has the format of, it's like, you know, it's a palette, but it's kind of, I feel like it works the way my brain works with eyeshadow right now. It's like easy mattes, beautiful shimmers, and that works for me. And you know what? I'll go against the grain. I'll use the eyeshadow palette and love the eyeshadow palette no one else likes. That's totally fine by me. So we only got rid of one eyeshadow palette, but I wasn't expecting to get rid of any of them. So that's okay. We'll pass that along. I do want to do a quick brush declutter. These are all from Mud Makeup. They are brushes that I got whenever I was in beauty school. First of all, Mud doesn't seemingly make this brush collection anymore. And I was looking at their website recently because I got an email that their brushes were on sale because of anyway, I'm on their mailer list. I don't know why. I should just unsubscribe. But I like their brushes. They're well enough. So if you find a brush shape there that you really like, I used to use this one for blending out cream contour, but I have found a brush I like a lot more than that. The reason I've just pulled these brushes aside is that I'm working on a much larger project when it comes to brushes, so I'll just save like all of my thoughts for that. So I don't, like, if you watch my channel, you'll know what brush replaced this whenever you see me using it in upcoming videos. And already, like, I've already been using the new brush in videos, so that doesn't serve a purpose for me anymore. I think this was a concealer brush. The thing about the makeup kits that you got in beauty school was that they just kind of gave you random brushes. Like no one in beauty school had the same set of brushes from Mud. They just sent everyone random different brushes. So I think this might have been a concealer brush. I feel like that's what I used it for in beauty school. I just don't have a purpose for this anymore. And I didn't really use it as a concealer brush either. I think I used it as an eyeshadow brush most of the time. Anyway, I don't need that. I have enough eyeshadow brushes. Then this angle brush isn't as thin as I'd like it to be. I would use this whenever my other one was dirty, but I'd much rather just clean the one that I like more than this and then get rid of it. I bought a Morphe brush set a long time ago when I first got into makeup, and these are the last 4 remaining, and I just think it's time for me to no longer have Morphe brushes because I don't need to have Morphe brushes, so I think I'm okay to let these go. And then finally, I have the Merit brush. This is for the Merit Solo Shadows that came out earlier this year. This was sent to me in PR. I just got brushes from Refer that one of the brushes is shaped just like this and has the same density. And then I also was given a pencil brush from Refer that is as small as that. And then I also got one smaller than that. So I just don't have a purpose for this brush anymore. And I hate dual-ended brushes. So it's time for that to go. So we'll get rid of those brushes as well. That ends up the decluttering portion. Now I'm going to put all of my stuff back in my drawers. Then I'll walk you through the drawers and just show you what I do for storage because I have been asked about that a couple of times. So I'll show you inside the drawers with the separators that I have so you can see. I don't think I do a great job storing my makeup, but you were curious. So I will show you what the drawers look like now that I've decluttered. All right, I apologize if you see my feet in this footage. It might happen. I'm not doing it on purpose. And be respectful. Don't look at them. Pretend they're blurred out. I'm not going to do that. Okay, this is my top drawer. This is all of the makeup that I haven't made a decision on yet. So just testing stuff. There's not really an organizational system to this. And literally, I had this cleared out before I went to Vegas for the most part, and now it's full again. So that's really fun. Okay, so here's my second drawer. Like I said, small eyeshadow palettes are kind of along the side here. And then in the front container, this is by Impressions by Vanity. They are a company that makes stuff specifically sized for the Alex drawers. I don't know what this is actually called. I don't know if that company still exists, but that is where I bought it. It fits my single shadows quite well. And I also have one of my only gel eyeliner here. And then back here is like liners, mascara. I keep my powders up top here because that makes more sense for me and when I'm reaching for them because I use them in every look. Same thing with contours, eyeshadow primer, stick eyeshadows. So those are all here. Okay, so we're moving down one more drawer. This is my lipstick / complexion drawer. So all of my lip products are up on the front part of the lipstick container. Again, it's by Impressions by Vanity. And then back here are my concealers and complexion products that will fit in here. And then over there, that's all my primers, foundations, setting spray, that all kind of lives there. Most of the time, my setting spray lives on the top of my vanity, but I cleaned it off so I could do this footage, so I could pretend that I am more organized than I am. But yeah, this one's a little bit more of a mishmash drawer. I'm not really sure what to do about the foundations and stuff. I haven't really found a good way to store them so they do just kind of like rattle around in there. That's just my truth. And then we go one drawer lower. This is my cheek drawer. Now, I did complain that I feel like I didn't get rid of enough, but this is a lot better than it was. So I can see everything. It was really crowded in there before I did this. I still think that the Milk Makeup highlighter is something that I'm still like actively considering decluttering as I'm recording this. It might happen, it might not happen. And I did decide that I really want to keep Heliotrope from Rose Inc. Yeah, I'm good with this. I have a feeling that I might need to operate with like cheek products, like product in, product out going forward, because I do not want it to grow bigger than this. So I'm okay with that. And then on the bottom drawer, That's all my eyeshadow palettes. So the Anastasia palette has some singles in it that I need to decide if I'm keeping or decluttering. And then my eyeshadows kind of all live vertically in the front portion. And so over here, over the far left side of the screen, those are the infinity stacks from Adept. I really like them. Like, they fit the way that I like to store my eyeshadows. And I can fit quite a few more in there. And I think that will hold all of my single shadows. Fingers crossed. That's what my drawers look like inside. And yeah, oh, also, I forgot to mention this. These acrylics are also by Impressions by Vanity. I think that's the name of the company. I bought them on Etsy, but I think they have a website. I think they sell vanities, but they also sell like these things for the Alex drawers. I don't like the customizable ones, which I don't like. I just like how clean these ones that are already picked a size, but it is limiting in what you can put in them because the size has been decided for you. But I like them. I do prefer it that way. And that's that. So this is actually a flashback to the first declutter that I did on my channel when I came back. It's actually really scary laying under this DSLR. It's so much bigger than my old camera. But that's a wrap on this declutter, and that's a wrap on my 2023 content. So thank you all for joining me on this declutter. I really, really appreciate it. You're the absolute best. I love you. I hope you have a happy new year. Be very safe. Remember to follow your haute, and you'll find me. I'll see you in a video next year. Bye-bye.